Yeah, Fallon, you should request up and we can talk about it. Yo, can I get your age?
19.
Cool. Yeah, so what's the argument for eating animals?
What do you mean by that? It's good to be vegan or it's bad?
Well, I'm not invoking anything about veganism just yet. I'm just curious what a good argument for eating animals would be.
Oh, basically, you got to eat shit to live.
Okay, given that you don't have to eat shit to live, um, yeah, do you think it's permissible to still eat animals?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then I don't see why that's a good reason to eat animals.
Well, what do you eat? Grass and rocks?
Well, the whole point of what I just said is just that if it's not true that what turns on whether or not eating animals is permissible is whether or not you gotta eat shit to live,
So here's
then I
my
don't
thing. Are
see
you
how, then I
arguing to
don't,
not eat
then I don't,
animals or
then
just
I
to not
don't,
eat in
then I don't,
general?
then I don't, then I don't see why that actually turns on whether or not it's a good reason to eat animals. You understand?
No, I think you're fucking stupid and retarded, you fucking idiot. You sound like a fucking faggot. You
Oh, well, okay. I'll just drop you down. If you can't comprehend your own reasoning, it's a little strange.
Yeah, hello.
Yo, can I get your age?
18.
Okay, cool. What's the argument for eating animals?
Well, I think that animal foods are more nutritious and they are essential for living a healthy life.
Essential? When you say essential, do you mean necessary?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the argument for that?
So when we compare, for example, any plant foods to animal foods, then the animal foods, the nutrients in them are just more bioavailable and they don't contain anti-nutrients like plant foods do. So I think,
Wait, hold on. Okay, so it's compatible with, so like I don't even take this to be true, just to be clear, but even if we granted that eating plant or I'm sorry, animal-based foods was more bioavailable or something like that, that still doesn't reach the conclusion that eating animals is necessary, right? So you wanted to establish an argument that it's necessary to eat animals, and the reasons you just gave were not explicit to the conclusion that it's necessary to eat animals.
right, okay, so I think plant foods don't contain essential nutrients.
Like what?
B12, D3, heme iron, cholesterol, um, K2.
Okay, well, I would just reject all that. So what's the evidence?
So what do you believe that they contain those?
Yeah, I do. But you're making a positive claim that plant foods don't contain those, and part of a plant-based diet would not be inclusive of, things like B12, D3, whatever else you said. Right. So I would just like some evidence for some claim like that.
Well, I mean, like, this is people in the science space accept this as a fact. So if you disagree, you need to make the proof instead of me making a proof.
Wait, I just want to know what the evidence is.
What do you mean? What's the evidence that the plants don't contain B12, for example?
Well, that you can't get B12, D3, vitamin D3 on a plant-based diet.
Well, you can't from plants. Maybe if you take supplements, if you mean that.
Do you think taking supplements is inclusive, or I'm sorry, is it can be included in part of a plant-based diet?
Yeah, I think it needs to be. It's necessary for a plant-based diet to have supplements because then if you don't, then you are missing out on nutrients.
Okay. Well, even if that's true, seems like you can get everything you need, and by your own lights, you can get everything you need from a plant-based diet. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like the conclusion you were trying to reach is in contention anymore. It just seems like you conceded.
Well, what do you mean? I don't know what
You were
you
trying
mean.
to say, you were trying to establish that you can't get necessary nutrients or something like that from a plant-based diet, but then you said you can get those things from a plant-based diet. So that
Well,
seems to contradict the conclusion you were trying to establish.
well, you can't get them from plants. You need to get them from supplements. Are supplements plants?
Well, I'm talking about a plant-based diet. I'm not just talking about exclusively eating plants.
What does a plant-based diet mean?
Plant-based diet just means that you're excluding animal-based products from your diet.
Yeah, so you eat plants. What else would you eat?
So the only thing that would be relevant is that you're excluding animal-based products. You could eat anything else.
Right. So what's right? But when I said that you're not getting B12 from plants, you said that that I didn't say that I only eat plants, but that I excluded animal products, right? So what else can you eat except for plants? Like I don't know what you're eating. Flowers, like they're plants too.
Well, here I'll try to make it more simple for you. So like, yes, supplements could be included in a plant-based diet, and then we can establish the conclusion that it's not necessary to eat animals or animal-based products to survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then
So
your argument is conceded, right? You just concede.
right. So you admit that your diet needs supplements. So that means in it, what supplement?
I don't even take a view something like that, honestly. Um, but at the same time, even if like I don't go into the specifics of my view, you've conceded the argument that you were trying to establish, right?
No, because my argument wasn't talking about supplements. I was talking about purely plants, not a plants based. When I said that you can meet those,
No, wait. You were this conclusion you were trying to establish is that it's necessary for you to eat animals and animal-based products for you to survive, right?
yeah,
So it's compatible with you surviving that you don't eat those things and you still survive. So then the argument just doesn't go through.
yeah. Then while making that point, then yes, I agree that yeah, I said that you can get it from supplements, but I don't believe that those are the same. Like it's not the same as getting them from foods, and
Okay,
it's
well, before we get to like all of that, you are we on the same page that you conceded the first conclusion you were trying to reach?
the first conclusion that you need animals to that animals have foods are essential.
Yes, correct.
Well, no, I'm still arguing for that, but because when
Well,
I
that's
said
obviously false, and we've demonstrated that, and then you've also agreed. So I don't understand why you
no,
would still
because
disagree with that.
if I believed in supplements, then yes, I would consider, but I don't.
What do you mean you don't believe in supplements? You don't believe they exist? Like, I don't understand what you're saying.
No, I don't believe that they can replace food.
When you say, yeah, I still don't understand what you're saying.
I don't believe that you can replace the nutrition needed from food with supplements.
Okay, sure. What's the argument for that?
Well, okay, we don't need to argue about that. Just of course,
Well,
like
wait, hold on. You're trying to establish a new claim,
no, that's
right?
just my
That you
belief. I
can't
don't
get the
have
adequate nutrition from a supplement.
that's just my belief. I don't have any proof for it.
Okay, you don't have any reason to believe that. You're just asserting a claim with no evidence. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's just my belief, and
Okay, well then we can just dismiss that because that
yeah,
doesn't seem like you have any good reason to believe that.
yeah. No, I have good reason, but I can't provide you
Oh,
with
well,
any good
what
proof.
would be a good reason to believe that?
Well, common sense.
Well, I just take it to be common sense to reject something like that.
Yeah, that's okay. I agree. Like that's not
Yeah,
proof.
so then it seems like your view doesn't go through, your argument doesn't go through. The reasoning that you're putting forth
All
isn't
right.
really motivated very
Um.
well.
Okay. So, but like for example, like that humans evolved on eating animal-based foods, right? So I would say that that's a good argument for why we should continue eating them, right? Because we evolved on them and our bodies adapted to them.
Well, it's compatible with, you know, our bodies previously adapting or, like benefiting from eating animals that we don't eat animals and still benefit. So I don't see why that's a good argument.
Well, you can just like feed a lion. Like no, it's not diet. It's a unnatural diet.
Wait,
It's
so are we moving to like a different line of reasoning? I'm confused.
no, because evolution optimizes your diet.
Well, it's compatible with like evolution and evolutionary processes that we don't eat animals. So I don't see why pointing to what we've done over a long period of time is a good reason to keep doing some certain action.
Because if we done it for a long time, for like 300,000 years, then our bodies are adapted to that, and you can just switch your diet. You can just feed a lion like greens. That's what I said before.
Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna get this other guy up here because I actually want to talk to him. What's up, Lit?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, what did you want to talk about?
Yo, veganism is false, boy.
Okay, what's the argument? Or well, maybe we can get on the same page about what veganism is, and then yeah, I'd be interested in the argument.
Well, look, generally the act of eating animals is morally permissible in virtue of the fact that non-human animals are not normative typical entities.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It means that they're not morally relevant.
Okay, what establishes that?
Well, nothing established. Well, look, the only thing that establishes the non-morally relevancy of some entity is the negation of what establishes the moral relevancy of an entity. So that would just be the rationality or the disposition of rationality of humans.
And what do you mean by rationality?
Rationality isn't defined. It's more identified in virtue of two traits, namely intellect and will.
Intellect and will. Okay, well, I mean, do you disagree with the idea that like non-human animals also have a will?
Yeah, in the metaphysical sense. If by will you mean that they have like prototypicals, then they certainly have prototypicals, but that's not the will that I'm talking about.
Okay, what kind of will are you talking about?
Well, we have to understand that when we're talking about will, we have to create a distinction between prototypicals and abstractas. So we understand that, since you're a vegan debater, I'm sure I don't have to explain prototypicals to you. But then when we're talking
Oh well,
about
I actually don't understand what you mean by prototypical. Sorry if that just kind of makes me low tier or whatever. But yeah, I
I
just
don't
don't know.
think that makes you low tier. I just thought I just try to not explain everything. Well, I try to assume the best of my opponent, I guess. But look, so you can think of prototypicals as identification
I
processes.
really like that, by the way, bro. That's so good.
What?
I just try to assume the best of my opponent. I'm gonna take that one for later.
It's not a rhetorical. Okay, it's fine.
Come on.
It's literally not, bro. But look,
That is
if you
fucking
feel
genius, bro.
like
Holy
that could
shit.
be an effective rhetorical tool, then use it, bro, for sure.
That's so effective, dude. Holy fuck.
Okay, so look. Okay, so when we're talking about prototypicals, what we're talking about are identification processes. In which case, we understand that animals aggregate particular patterns to create some kind of blob object in their mind. So what's an example of this? An example of this is when you have like a dog, and the dog can recognize other dogs based on certain features that it can recognize with respect to patterns. So to us, a dog is it's a kind of canine. There are certain facts about the dog. I don't know a lot about dogs. Certain facts about dogs. But then to a dog, another dog is just, it moves, it's fuzzy, and it's loud. That's an example of a prototypical. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat the explanation? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, hang on. My girlfriend's texting me. Give me like 2 seconds.
No worries. How was your workout, Keith?
Solid as always.
Very nice. Very good to hear. Was it leg day, arm day, chest day? What are you working with?
I actually had to catch up from a missed day, so it was I was just trying to do like an even load of back and legs, but biased towards hamstrings and whatnot.
Very good. Very good.
Quality content.
All right, sorry about that, bro.
Okay, oh, no worries. Do you mean by prototypical, you just mean like some general description?
Well, look, descriptions can be true of abstractus, so no, I don't mean that. But I think Bart sort of recapitulated in an accurate way when he says pattern aggregation that creates a blob concept for general identity application. I think that perfectly captures what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah, I mean, the concept isn't really like clicking with me. So
Okay, then let me just give the example here. That's okay. So, okay, look. When you and I see a dog, what do we identify? Well, we identify abstractas. Abstractas such as what? Well, first of all, we identify biological classification, and then we identify traits true of biological classification with respect to shape, teeth, form, activity, and behavior. That's what we identify. Not only do we identify that, but we also identify metaphysical abstractas with respect to sensitive causal powers. We understand that it can have the kind of experiences where, although they're not rational, they're certainly feeling sensitive appetites such as hunger, stress, anxiety, depression, things of that sort. They certainly feel those things. Okay, so that's how humans orient their epistemology and their knowledge. Okay, now, how does that work with animals? Well, animals don't have abstractives the way that we do. They don't have the intellect that we do or the will that we do. What they have instead are prototypicals. Now, what prototypicals do is we put ourselves within the mind of a dog and they see another dog. But when they see a dog, what they do is that they have a pattern recognition with respect to the behavior that the blob in front of them is doing. Essentially, what they're looking at is a blob. And that blob is exercising certain behaviors. It's also exercising certain sounds. So to them, what they see is a pattern of sounds and a pattern of behaviors, and then a pattern of particular, like, sensitive experiences, like maybe like if a dog touches another dog or fucks another dog, whatever. Okay, so in their minds, a prototypical is just this, their prototypical understanding is that another dog is just this weird fuzzy thing that acts in these particular ways. But to us, we abstract really complex data from with respect to how we understand other entities.
Yeah, I actually do think I'm a little bit skeptical of this idea because
Holy shit, bro. You'll hop on a Google Shorts, bro.
all right, I mean, I'm just giving you my initial intuitions.
Go on to Facebook Shorts, bro.
All right. I mean, I'll go look up Facebook Shorts later, but yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest with you about like how I feel about. So I'm not trying to be like.
Oh, by the way, for George in the comments,
combative.
dreams are not abstract as boy lock-in.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm just being a little silly with you, bro. Look, if you're saying like, hey, I'm skeptical of this in virtue of my intuitions, I mean obviously we both understand that's not a response, right?
Wouldn't the vegan argument just be saying that we're conceptually trying to like move them from the prototypical category into the abstractive category?
That'd just be a category error.
Well, I don't see why. I mean, like a vegan would just
because
like
they don't have rational causal powers.
It's like for like a vegan, like looking at a cow, they wouldn't be like, here's like unit 4 of the beef prototype. Like
that's not what's being said. Do you want me to explain to you how that's a category error? Because it seems you didn't understand.
I mean, I'm saying like we would be applying like some like abstractive here, where we're saying this is like a sentient individual that has the capacity to suffer.
When you say capacity to suffer, presumably you mean that in the normative sense. And if you do, that's just a question back against my argument.
Yeah, I just don't really see how this like really tracks anything meaningful.
Wait, why did you just ignore the thing I said?
Just like, yeah, I mean the argument as a whole, just like looking at it, it's just kind of like a weird like.
Wait, why did you ignore it 2 times in a row? Can you respond to the thing I said?
Yeah, just I don't really care. Like, quite honestly.
You understand that what's on the table right now is that you either said something descriptive or you just begged the question. Why are you ignoring that? You just did something colossally wrong just now.
Check this out. I don't care.
You don't care that you're being unreasonable? Yo, Herb, when you're being rhetorical with people who don't have arguments and are being illogical, you keep that same energy with respect to this guy who doesn't care that he's begging the question? Do you do the same thing to him or no?
No, I just think this argument's really silly.
Yeah, if people who claim to be vegans are being unreasonably rhetorical, then
no, not being unreasonably rhetorical, but clearly begging the question. Said he doesn't care that he's begging the question.
Yeah, I mean, I might have just missed it, in all honesty. So I'm not trying to be dishonest, but
oh yeah, you're all good, bro. Yo, Keith, you did just say that you didn't care that you were begging the question, right? You did say that?
No, it wasn't about that.
Oh, you didn't say that?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, so now we're lying. Okay, so look, you understand that there's that. What you understand that the point of distinction, the point of contention.
I don't care for this line of reasoning because it just seems like abstractly trying to like wordplay your way out of caring about sentient individuals.
Yo, host, do you ever get people saying that you're like playing semantics or doing wordplay or trying to use big words when you're actually being deductive?
Yeah, people say that.
Yeah,
sometimes.
right. Yeah, that's happening to me right now, live on your live, bro.
I don't think. Well, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Like,
not when it's the carnivore.
Well, are you saying Keith is doing that to you?
Yeah. Is it fair for me to ask Keith to recapitulate my argument?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that is fair. Yo, Keith, can you recapitulate my argument? Yeah, I thought so. So anyways, back to the conversation. So when you say that you're skeptical over the distinction that I make in virtue of your intuitions, I mean, you understand that answer is insufficient, right? You understand that's not a justification.
Yeah, it might not be a justification. I'm just trying to make sure I understand properly and then see how that comports with, my moral intuitions. because even if I think I understand it, but I might not be understanding it. But given that I do understand it, if that's granted, then I think it might be incompatible with some of my intuitions, and so.
Are your moral intuitions defeasible?
And what do you mean by defeasible?
Can they be wrong?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have like an epistemological method to create a distinction between your intuitions that are wrong and your intuitions that are correct? What's the standard for that?
I don't really. Yeah, I haven't really given that much thought, in all honesty.
So you're appealing to a thing where you don't have a standard of whether or not they're right or wrong. It's like, hey, my intuition says this is like
I'm not really
intuitions.
appealing to it as a reason to reject your argument or anything.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give you like an explanation of, like the way I feel, the way it initially, like.
I know, but you
displaced
understand
me,
that
like.
you understand that in the dialectic, all you're telling me is that the vibes feel off. That's all you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm just, trying to be honest with you because I
That's
don't
fair. I
really
appreciate
know
that.
if I have a good understanding of exactly what you're saying by prototypicals. But from what I do understand, or what I think I do understand, it seems like it wouldn't be compatible with my understanding of how it's applied.
Yeah, it's true.
But, I mean, I'll try to give it some more thought if that's okay.
Do you have a standard of evaluation? Let's critique your view.
A standard of evaluation
Yeah,
besides
like
my intuitions?
Yes, I hope you have a normative theory besides your intuitions. I hope you're not just basing this off of the vibes.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean the way the word like vibes is usually put forward,
What do you think an intuition
it
is?
seems to be a little bit more casual than the way like moral intuitions are supposed to be put forward.
Yeah,
Do
what do you
disagree
think an
with that?
intuition is? Yeah, I do disagree with that. What do you think an intuition is?
Yeah, it's supposed to capture what you
It's a hunch,
like.
bro. It's a seeming.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more action
Do you know what
guiding, more normatively guiding than something merely than just like vibes.
that's not true. But look,
Well, I mean,
do you,
that's just how I use the words, but maybe you use them a little bit differently.
well, you're using the words non-standardly. But that's fine. Do you know what the opposite of a seeming is?
I don't know what the opposite of seeming is.
It's reflection. Right? So you're appealing to the opposite of being reflective. Like if you had a choice, yeah, it's reflection. Like if you had to choose with respect to a moral quandary, why on earth would you ever appeal to your seemings and not your reflections?
Well, I actually think like the way I use intuitions, it captures my reflections. So maybe we might be talking past each other a little bit there.
Look, okay, when you define an intuition, okay, is that incompatible with calling it a seeming?
No.
No, it's not incompatible. Okay, so seemings are predicates of intuitions, but they're non-exhaustive. So what's exhaustive of an intuition exactly?
I'm not sure if I could give like an exhaustive list. I'd have to give
Yeah,
it
you don't
more
have
thought.
to. You can give me facts true of intuitions. How about you give me that?
Yeah, okay, so, some like initial considerations like prima facie considerations, as well as
That's a seeming.
reflective considerations. I feel like those are going to be captured by what I mean by
What do you think the
intuition.
term reflective means, to be clear?
When you take into account
Yeah, all the
different
details and everything.
considerations.
You understand that's
Yeah.
the exact opposite of prima facie, right?
Well, I mean, so that's why I think we might be talking past each other a little bit. Is because the way I use intuitions, it captures both of those things.
Look, the way that you're using intuition is way too fucking broad. So, for example, when I say something like, or rather, say for example, I came up to you and I gave you an 80 premise deductive syllogism that I've, that I've concocted. Okay, would you say that it's true that that is a reflective argument? Would you say that's true?
Is a reflective argument? Well, I don't know if you had reflected on it or not.
Okay, just assume, I guess, look. Do you really think that if someone made an 80 premise argument that they didn't reflect? Like, come on.
Yeah, it's very,
How about
you know,
generally?
it's completely I mean, I don't know. That's just like an empirical claim. I mean, I wouldn't know, honestly. Like if somebody made an 80 premise argument, it could be true that they don't reflect on it at all,
You're
or
unclear. You're
they
agnostic on you're agnostic on the fact that they reflected on it when they made an 80 premise.
yeah, I've seen cases of where someone doesn't reflect on it at all, and then
You think
cases
those
of where
cases are true
someone,
of the standard case?
I don't know what the standard case would be.
My God, bro. Okay, look. Let's put it this way. Okay. Um. Okay, let's put it this way. So I'm gonna give you an argument real quick. Okay. So, the best theory of change is act impotency. Heraclitean flux, disjunct Parmenidean monism, disjunct act impotency, therefore act impotency. And then the reasons why Heraclitean flux fails is in virtue of the logos violating a metaphysical law called the relations relata. The reason why Parmenidean monism fails is in virtue of, the substantiations of Spinoz's paradox is failing in virtue of modern day calculus. Okay. Do you believe, host, that I have reflected on this argument?
I mean, the problem is, like, I don't know what any of that means, so it would
Do you believe
kind of
that
be
I have
weird.
reflected on this? Yes or no?
I wouldn't know. Like, someone could, like, okay, do you disagree that someone could just memorize all
You have
those
no idea. You
words
think,
and
okay,
then
look.
not have,
I'm not
reflected on any
asking.
of that?
I'm like, look. I'm not appealing to someone random. I'm appealing to your understanding or whatever data you have about me. That's what I'm appealing to right now. Do you think that I, Lit, have reflected?
I mean, I don't know you very well. I mean, I could just, I mean, maybe, yeah, like, I don't know, dude. I don't know you very well.
Okay, fair enough. Suppose that I did reflect on this argument. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is this an intuition?
I'm sorry, when we stipulate that you had reflected on it, is that an intuition?
No, yeah, we're stipulating that I have reflected on this argument. Is this an intuition?
I don't think. I mean, it's kind of unclear when you say, like, we're stipulating it, but it's also supposed to be an intuition that I have. Like, if it's
Look.
stipulated,
No,
then it
no,
wouldn't
no, no,
matter
no, no,
whether
no,
or
no,
not I
no.
have an
Look,
intuition.
you're not tracking, bro. Okay, look.
My bad.
You said that traits true of intuitions are seemings and reflections. Those are traits true of intuitions, but what I've offered you right now is a deductive syllogism, and it's stipulated that it's also using reflections. Would you say that this thing is would you say that this is an intuition?
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Well, I don't see any problem with. I understand what you're asking now. Yeah. I would agree. It's or
You think this
at
is
the
all
very
intuition?
least. At the very least, well, I would say it comports with your intuitions, right?
Yeah, but comporting with my intuition is not the question, right?
So, are you saying it's just
That
synonymous?
it
Like,
is. Look, notice to the predications that it is that it is an intuition.
um, let me think about this. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think I might agree with you. It's not the exact same thing as an intuition, but I would think that your intuitions are captured by something like reflection.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that reflection and intuition are harmonious. That's not the claim, though. The claim right now is that appealing to your intuitions is obviously absurd, and then just baking in reflection
I
into
wasn't
it.
appealing.
Hang on. And then baking in
Sorry.
reflection into the concept of intuition is just obviously a fucking category error. But I guess that's fine. Look, if you want to, appeal to like the conventionality or the nominality about it, I do have problems with that. We could definitely talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to appeal to my intuition. I was sort of just pointing out, an honest factor of how I first assess what you're saying. But I mean, maybe you don't find that to be relevant. In that case, maybe I don't really have anything to say just yet. I would just be agnostic on what you're saying.
Okay, well, right now, what I want is a standard of evaluation with respect to you saying that eating animals is wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not even making a claim like that. I'm just looking for an argument.
That's great. Okay, so are you a vegan?
Yeah, I'm a vegan.
Why?
Yeah, I mean, I just have reasons against exploiting animals in other contexts that I think would commit me to not eating animals.
Okay, is exploitation normatively loaded? Saying it's wrong to exploit them?
Well, not the exploitation in and of itself, but I have some motivating reasons personally.
Okay, what are those reasons?
Yeah, like the fact that it creates suffering, and I have a disposition, a psychological disposition against creating suffering when I don't need to.
Okay, is suffering normatively loaded?
For me, like the way I understand it, it creates a negative psychological effect that I don't want to.
So the answer is yes?
Yeah, for me.
Okay, cool. What's the standard of evaluation for suffering?
I don't, well, maybe you can be a little bit more specific.
Your normative theory, boy.
Yeah, I don't really have like a specific normative theory that I commit
Boy
to.
doesn't have a standard?
Well, it's compatible that I have some standard that I can't
Okay, what's the
explicate
standard, boy?
within some single normative theory.
So you have an undefined, vague standard, boy?
Do you think it's...
Yeah, I think that's a problem if that's where you're going. And it's a huge problem.
I'm trying to understand, do you think it's like an issue if you can't explain your normative theory, but you have like some sort of intuitions for...
It's dialectically vicious, bro.
Why is that?
Because what normative theories are systems of operations with success conditions. And those success conditions have quantifications. If you don't have any standards, you don't have any quantifications, you don't have the quantifications, you're just shooting in the dark with respect to your seemings and the vibes with respect to the success conditions.
I mean, I don't know. I don't see why that's an issue, though.
I just told you.
Well, you told me descriptively like what's happening. I don't even see why that's an issue.
Oh, you want like okay, so yeah, we can take desired satisfaction. Desired satisfaction has really vague and unfair and really strange success conditions. Why? Because there isn't a methodological approach with respect to quantifying over your preferences and meta preferences. There's just no quantification for that. And so in virtue of there being no quantification for your preferences and meta preferences, supposing those things even fucking exist, which I don't think they do, but we'll pretend they do. Supposing you're taking that quantification for granted, then you can't actually, numerate the preferences. And so the only way to numerate and quantify over the preferences are with respect to your intuitions, aka the vibes. And when you're quantifying over the vibes and the preferences, first of all, you're being viciously circular with respect to, both just being predications of the mind, both just being predications of preferences, both just being kinds of preferences. So already you're being circular. But not only that, the consequences are catastrophic with respect to what preference should I act on? Should I act on the preference to grape a child, or should I act on the preference to not want to go to jail? Which preference should I be acting on here? You see how
should you be acting on, or should I? Are you asking like what I should be acting on, or what you should be acting on?
Bro, I'm not asking you anything. You asked me to demonstrate the problem with not having a standard or a quantification, so I demonstrated that for you. Because I'm a good faith interlocutor, and I got you, bro.
Well, I don't understand why it's incompatible with having like some intuition that, I mean, you could sort of like understand the scale in your head and you can't quantify it verbally.
Well, okay, so wait, how do you check that skill?
What do you mean?
How do you check that skill? You have a scale with respect to your intuitions. How do you check that?
Yeah, I think there's going to be like some guiding principles that you adhere to given other relevantly similar contexts.
The guiding principles. What determines whether or not a principle is guiding you?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it ultimately is just going to come down to your intuitions.
Your intuition, boy. It's circular.
I don't see why that's an issue.
You don't see why circularity is an issue? I can't help you
Well,
if you don't see the issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's all people are saying when they say, you like, they're like pointing to what they morally evaluate about things.
That is not what they're saying, boy. Lock in.
Okay, I mean, we might just disagree there. I don't know.
No, look, we disagree, but then me and basically all ethical philosophers disagree with you.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, really? Do you think that Gordon Graham agrees with you? Can you demonstrate to me how?
Sorry, who?
Gordon Graham?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, fine, that's fair. Okay, do you think that you think that Ayn Rand disagrees with me and agrees with you? Can you demonstrate to me how?
I mean, I don't know if she'd agree with you, but yeah, she'd probably disagree with me.
No, she certainly agrees with me because I affirm her view. Now,
Okay,
look, maybe I'm being a little bit unfair, so I'll give you a few options. Do you think Bentham, Mill, Aristotle, Kant agree with you or agree with me?
I mean, I'm agnostic on whether or not they'd agree with you, but
Really?
it's
Because I
very
can demonstrate to you.
possible.
I can demonstrate to you how they agree with me.
I mean, I don't. Well, okay, like let's just grant that, and like, what else did you want to say?
Well, look, right now, because I'm a good faith interlocutor, I'm a really good person. What I want is I want you to hop off the prima facie starter pack. I want you to stop that. I want you to hop on the normative theory starter pack. Right? I want you to affirm a normative theory, and I want you to give me the success conditions for good action, and I want you to give me the quantification for understanding the success conditions. That's all I want.
Well, I mean, tell me if this is like crazy or like, completely incomprehensible or something, but, I think there are certain contexts in which you find certain actions morally impermissible, and given relevantly similar contexts, you would find similar actions morally impermissible.
Yeah, you're doing a cross analysis with respect to symmetry.
Yeah. Is that
How do
like,
you determine the symmetry?
given the relevantly similar attributes?
What you're doing right now is that you're pointing to trait equalization principles, and those trait equalization principles inform you of whether or not some action is wrong. But what that takes for granted is the success conditions of the trait equalization process. That's a problem.
Wait, let me understand that part a little bit better. You're saying that takes for granted what exactly?
The trait equalization process, the standards for trait equalization. So, for example, you can take on two cases, okay? And the two cases are something like, okay, in case one, in case two, there's a little girl being raped. Okay, cool. And then in case one and case two, the person that's doing the raping is a woman and a man. Okay, cool. And then case one, case two, the consequences are differing insofar that in case one, the kid dies. In case two, the kid fights back, kills the rapist, and, no kid is ever raped again. But then, okay, so you might take the position that both cases are still informing you that something wrong is occurring, but just because the cases are informing you that something wrong is occurring, that's not going to be exhaustive of all the salient features that are occurring or all the morally relevant features that are occurring.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
That's a problem. Your view can't account for that.
Wait, I think I think there could be more salient features, right? And you still reach a conclusion that both instances are wrong, right?
What, oh, dude? Look. What does wrong mean there?
Just means given the relevant similarities between the two cases.
No, I'm just asking what the term wrong means.
Um,
When you say X is wrong, what does that mean?
I mean, for one, it can mean a couple different things, right? Like for one,
Properly,
I mean,
normatively.
yeah. I mean, so there are different senses of normativity.
That's why I said
As
proper.
well. What is proper supposed to mean there?
With respect to success conditions and operations of action guidance.
Yeah, I mean, there's still different senses of normativity,
No, there's
even
not.
with respect to. Okay, I mean, I think there is.
You don't think I know epi norms, conventional norms, nominal norms, proper norms, robust norms? You don't think I know these?
I'm not doubting that you know other types of norms.
Okay, so when you're saying that that's not true, what are you appealing to exactly?
I'm not like appealing. Okay, well, the thing I'm thinking about when you say proper norms, I think there are other types of proper norms.
Okay, like
in
what?
my mind, the way you just,
Yeah, like what?
so like given like social norms or something like that.
Yeah, those are
that could
social
be-
norms, not proper norms.
Well, the way you, I thought the way you defined.
What do you
proper
think
norms,
success
it's,
means?
Achieving a goal or something.
Achieving flourishment.
Okay, my fault.
Flourishment is morally relevant, bro. Come on.
Flourishment is morally relevant. Okay.
Yes, it's a morally relevant property, bro.
I mean, sure.
That's not conventional. It's not epiphenomenal, right?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Bro, use your seemings. Let me know.
I mean, I probably need to just like understand those words better.
Wait, just use your seemings real quick though. Wait, are you telling me your seemings aren't working? Oh, that's a shocker. Seemings don't.
Well,
sometimes the seemings aren't working.
I usually use my seemings when I have a good understanding of the words that I'm using.
Yeah, use your seemings right now.
Well, given that I don't have a good understanding of the words, it wouldn't really make any sense to use my seemings. Like it's like
really?
if I told you,
because I can cash it out with the principle of justification that are absent from my seemings.
Well, so like here's like an example. Like if you told me to use my seemings on something like glorpgloosh, right? Like I wouldn't really know how to use my seemings for something like that.
Except that's not analogous because you have a referent for what normativity is, right?
Well, when you, yeah, I mean, there's some sort of sense of normativity,
to be clear,
but when you
just real quick,
mentioned the other senses of normativity, then
to be clear, you
I
do have a
wasn't-
referent of normativity, but you don't have a referent to gloop-glop, right?
I have some referent to normativity, but the specific
that's not-
sense of
that's not the question
normativity
I
that
asked
you
you.
invoked.
That's not the question that I asked you. Okay, so you have
Well,
some reference.
I think it actually sufficiently answers the question.
Wait, no. That's not what I'm asking you. Okay, so you have some reference with respect to normativity, and then you have zero fucking reference with respect to gloop-glop, correct? That's true?
Yeah.
Okay, you see the symmetry breaker there? Zero versus some?
Well, do you understand that there could be some sense of normativity that I don't have, like, a good understanding of?
No, look, normativity is a baseline function, and then there are features that differ with respect to domains, but that baseline function doesn't change.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there is different domains.
That's not true of gloop-glop, bro.
Well, that is true of gloop-glop, right? Like those other domains of normativity that I don't really have a good understanding of would seem like gloop-glop.
That doesn't negate the foundational structure of what norms are, bro.
Yeah, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying I couldn't give you a good assessment.
You understand that you're saying that you have a referent for those foundations, but you don't have a reference to absolutely anything with respect to Gloop.
When you say those foundations, maybe you can be a little bit more specific.
Aughts.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also
Oh,
different domains.
look, we got a reference and then we lack a reference, bro. There's obviously a symmetry breaker here. I don't know why you're challenging me on this.
Yeah, there's different domains in which the ought can be applied.
Yes, exactly. But nonetheless, they still all employ oughts, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the referent that you have that you lack with respect to Gloop, thus not being analogous.
No, there's relevantly similar domains in which I don't have a clear understanding in which I could apply the same agnostic view similar to Gloop.
Look, when I say something like you should follow an inferential schema, are you telling me that it's falling on completely deaf ears when you hear that?
I mean, it's not like I mean, I don't know what you mean exactly by deaf ears, but yeah, I don't understand.
You don't understand.
Yeah,
You have no idea what that means.
correct.
Yo, bro, I think someone hit you with the epistemic flashbang, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
My fault, gang. I'm just trying to, get better at debating, learn more. That's about it.
That's fair. Okay, look, I think that you should hop off the seeming starter pack. That's what you got to do first.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to give like a strong argument right now, right? I'm just trying to investigate other people's arguments. And
but
it's
look,
also understandable that if I can't understand what someone's argument,
how are you checking their arguments? Like logical contradictions and absurdities?
Yeah, I usually just run like an internal.
What are the standards for absurdities?
Well, I mean, absurdities would be something like most people find this wildly unintuitive.
Oh my god, bro! So most people's vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I take that
You're
to
cooked,
be
bro.
what
You're actually fucking
is
cooked,
meant.
bro.
I mean, okay. I mean,
No, that's not
sorry.
what philosophers mean. That's what TikTokers mean when they say absurdity.
My fault, gang. My fault.
You're all good, bro. I get it.
What do you mean? What do you mean by absurdity?
A reductio ad absurdum is a failure by logical contradiction, or a failure by lack of explanatory power with respect to a tension point and a normative system. That's how philosophers talk about absurdities. They don't talk about it by way of, yeah, most people's vibes just aren't clicking, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I take a contradiction also to be absurd.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. I'm not contesting that.
I just use it in two different senses. I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm not contesting that. That's fine.
But you don't think like a conclusion that most people would reject is compatible with using the word absurd to capture the idea?
No, I don't think that's what philosophers mean.
Well, okay. I mean, sure. I don't really know what philosophers mean by the term absurd. I haven't read into the philosophy behind
I just told you,
reductio. Okay. All right.
You gonna adopt it?
I should probably look into it a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to the idea if that's actually true.
Like vegan Bolshevik?
Yeah, I do like vegan Bolshevik.
Did a lot better than vegan Bolshevik, bro. I think you're really good now.
You think I did better than vegan Bolshevik?
Way better.
Why is that?
He quit in less than a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you did very good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Can I give like a closing, I guess?
I mean, keep
cool,
the
bro.
meta and keep the meta-ric to a minimum.
Closings are meta, bro. Closings are about the debate. They're meta.
No. Well, you can keep it completely substantive if you want, is what I mean.
That just wouldn't be a closing, boy. That's analytically false.
Okay, I mean, we might have different understandings of the word closing.
I have the standard understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if that's the standard understanding of
all I wanted to
equality.
say, all I wanted to say was that,
Yeah,
uh,
go ahead.
all I wanted to say was that veganism is false, and you're doing something wrong by being a vegan. Chat. Stop doing that later.
Yeah, not sure that's true, but all right. Dang, no more guests. I tried to accept all three and they all just like disconnected. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I don't think we actually discussed anything of substance.
I think there was some substance. It might
Yeah, I
not
mean,
be
like
particularly pertinent
substance.
to veganism in
Yeah.
particular, but I think there's definitely some substance in there.
Yeah, it's like locked away in whatever the fuck he was saying that like no one, unless they've taken like a extensive amount of philosophy class, knows what the hell he's talking about. Like that's the problem of like if you can't like describe things intuitively and meaningfully to the audience and the person you're talking to, like if they don't understand you, like maybe like find a better way of explaining yourself that just isn't like over the top. Like that's the problem with like people that just discuss that way. It's like when I talk to people and I'm like trying to put my point across to them, I try to explain it in ways where they would actually understand, not just like intentionally try to be as confusing and convoluted as possible, because that's all he was doing.
Yeah. Do you
Like
think
I
I
think,
could have done anything better with respect to, I mean, I was being super honest about like what I actually thought with respect to like my
no,
knowledge on.
I don't think you did anything wrong. I just think that yeah, that like more meaningfully could have been discussed with someone like yeah, if he wanted to do like a 4 year philosophy major person versus another 4 year philosophy major person, have at it. That would be like an actual like he can go fucking debate like Bay or someone. Like I'm sure like they could have a very intense, meaningful conversation, but like the problem is like it's just like fucking scooping past like everyone's head and no one's understanding and it's like haha I won by confusing everyone. Like what? That's that's like a painful way of approaching things. Like why wouldn't you want to be like as intentionally clear with your points as possible as to like why this like leads to like something important. Like when I explain like an is-ought gap to someone, I don't go like, "Oh, that's an is-ought gap. You're a dummy," or whatever. I explain to like, you know, meaningfully why that's important. Like, why an is-ought gap would be a problem. Um, and like perhaps he did explain that to you, but he didn't explain it in any like really meaningful, understandable way. So, because like yeah, like you're you're sitting there like, yeah, I don't know what you really mean by all that. Or yeah, I'm like maybe I'd have an intuition to do that, I guess. Like it was just all again, like all very confused. Like if he wants to like have like 4 year philosophy major discussions, go have a discussion with someone who's a 4 year philosophy major. Like I think that's just like the fucking mistake here. Quite honestly, like it's the pain of like trying to discuss with someone who's not only like is a philosophy major, but like when they do this kind of shit on TikTok, like yeah, they're intentionally being a true full fledged Phil bro. Like there's one thing to like use philosophy in your discussion. It's another thing to like use philosophy to entirely like muddle and confuse the conversation, because like at no point do I think like anything what he said like really encapsulates a meaningful response to say like, like name the trait. He's like using like these concepts of like, you know, what was the word, like, we had prototype, or
Prototypicals.
prototypicals, and then we had uh, what was the other word? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It began with an A. Analyticals. So we had analyticals are applied to humans, and I assume one of those philosophers that he mentioned is someone that would say, "Oh, that's a category error to take away an analytical and apply it to a non-human animal," because that's what he was doing to me when I said like, "Well, can't we just like apply this analytical?" Because like that seems to be like what you're placing like a moral onus on, is like, hey, the human has an analytical about them that's meaningful as to like why we wouldn't exploit them. And I'm like, okay, well, why can't we apply like an analytical where we like ignore the like blob obfuscations of like, oh, they have fur and feathers and scales and other things that like my eyes like like at a glance don't read into all that well. And we actually look at like the inherent meaningful traits of like harm and exploitation and all these kinds of things happening to them. And like I'm sure he could like rebuttal that with like, well, we can do that through like high welfare standards, but I think that again still just like misses the gap as to like, okay, if we care enough to put high welfare standards in place to not inflict undue unjust harm, why aren't we going one step further to just not exploit them at all if we don't need to? Like the act of like taking a welfarist stance implies that the step further beyond that would make even more sense. So yeah, I don't know. I felt like interjecting in that conversation would have been ultimately meaningless, but yeah.
Okay, what do you think about the way he was pushing back about okay, so like I wanted to say something like there's you know there's actions that I would reject, and given relevantly similar contexts I
I mean, he
should
wanted you
reject
to
them.
just provide like, like a like, yeah, like a formal syllogism and whatnot for like your inferential schema, as it was put. So it's like, like, yeah, you could put something like that down and be like, in like a vegan framework, it would be like, like if you had two beings, a human and a non-human, or I don't know, animal A and animal B or whatever, and they possess property X, Y, Z. I mean, we could just say sentience, and they have it at the same level. Then those two animals or entities or whatever have, an identical interest in avoiding harm or having their interests frustrated or other things like that. So that would be like an inherent like a quality measure between the two to like check when it comes to like suffering, like something that we would find morally relevant for humans. Like we wouldn't just want to submit a human to suffering for no good reason. um and then like if you like I guess like as like a next step, uh like because he was like, most of the human stuff, like I assume most of this human concepts that people get like hung up on or want to make a big point about is the oh well, they're like super rational or have moral agency or whatever. So like if the ability to be rational is not the thing that allows the individual to experience suffering, right? Like if that's not the thing that, it's not that if we have a human and we remove their rationality, they suddenly can't suffer anymore. They obviously can. So like it's just not meaningful at that point. And then if we grant that moral protection to one of the two beings based on effectively sentience or capacity to suffer and whatnot, but we deny the other animal who also possesses the exact same thing, and we know that the absence of that rationality doesn't mean a thing in the world in terms of that suffering, then I mean, at that point, I think he's the one committing the category error and applying all this bullshit about blob blob obfuscations, or like I look at an animal and I don't know what to do with them. Like that's basically what that comes down to me in my eyes. Like I see an animal and they're covered in feathers and scales and all this other shit, and I just like, oh, guess I can give up and I can mistreat them now. Like I don't know, it's weird.
Jackson, can I get your age?
Well, I'm sort of one.
Sorry, there's a lot of background noise. I couldn't understand you.
Oh, that. Sorry, I am 21.
Okay, cool. So do you have an argument that establishes the conclusion it's permissible to eat animals?
I don't even think there's an argument about what can I or what I can't eat. I mean, if it's not illegal, if it's not morally wrong, then why should I stop eating meat? Or, you know?
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Like, if it wasn't illegal to eat humans, would you find that morally permissible?
Is it illegal?
Well, the question is, given that it wasn't illegal, would you find it morally permissible?
I don't care if it's legal or not. I mean, in this case, it's not illegal, it's not morally wrong. Or, well, at least for me, it's not morally wrong. I don't know what's your moral, but maybe you can tell me. Because I don't see any type of problem with me eating animals, with me eating flesh
No, wait.
or meat.
I'm asking you if you would find it morally impermissible to eat humans, given that there was no law precluding something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat humans, obviously.
Oh, well, that wasn't obvious to me, but I mean, maybe you can
It is.
explain. Well, that wasn't obvious to me, but why don't you go ahead and explain why you wouldn't eat the human, given that it was still legal?
First of all, it's not, and it's not going to be legal. And second of all,
I can't hear you. You're like
I don't want to.
muffled. You're like in the background. I can't hear you.
I'm saying sorry. First of all, I wouldn't eat a human, even if it's legal, because I don't want to. I don't think it's morally okay. That's the thing.
Well, I'm trying to understand why you think it's morally impermissible, even if it's legal. That was the question.
Because a human is not the same as an animal. A human has more of a rational thinking. It has a consciousness. It has something to give to the whole society. It's very different to an animal, because we need animals. We need to eat animals to survive and to have a very good diet. We don't need to eat humans to get a good diet. And because it gives a lot of sickness. Human flesh has a lot of sickness. And you can see it in any type of culture that has been eating human flesh. So yeah, even if it was legal, it wouldn't be safe or it wouldn't be okay for me, at least morally. But even though it wouldn't even be something that would give me something that I need, you know?
Well, I'm trying to understand specifically what's the moral impermissibility that stems from eating humans.
Because they have a consciousness, because they have something to apport to the society, and because eating them, it wouldn't give me any type of benefit.
Okay, well, for one, I think it's also true that non-human animals have a consciousness. And then I also think it's
Not the
true
same
that,
consciousness.
Okay, what kind of consciousness are you talking about?
Can animals talk?
I don't know why you're asking me
Can
a
they
question.
can they
Just
rational? Yeah, because why can animals rationally think? Because they usually
Yeah, I mean,
don't. I mean,
by the
maybe there's
in the way
one or
that I use the word rational, yeah, they can.
there's not a due way. There's a way to talk about rational. I
Okay,
mean,
what do
it's
you
okay.
what do you mean by rational?
Are you just gonna ask questions about what is rational and all of that?
Well,
That's
look,
wrong.
I'm
I'm
telling
getting down.
I'm telling you by my own lights, the way I use rational, yeah, non-human animals would be considered rational. So I'm trying to
Yes, they
understand
are. I
the
mean,
way
they are rational,
you
but
use
not.
rational
I'm not saying.
such
I'm
that it
not
would
saying.
preclude non-human
I'm not
animals.
just saying that they're not rational. I'm just saying that they are not equal rational, or they do not have the same consciousness that a human being has. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and I'm trying to understand what you mean by consciousness there, such that it would preclude
Oh my
non-human
god.
animals.
Oh my god. Is that really gonna be all? Is that really all?
I'm trying to clarify what you mean, right? I don't see why that's like unreasonable. Do you think it's
Some.
unreasonable? Like if somebody was like, "Here, I believe in glorpgloosh," and then you were like, "Look, I don't really know what glorpgloosh means. Can you like specify or like clarify what that means?" And they just said, "Oh, is that really all? Is that really all you're gonna ask?" You would say that they're being a little bit
Well, I think
unreasonable,
that
right?
any human being knows what rationality is.
Well, it seems like we have two different notions of what we mean by the term
There's not a
rational
notion
because
about a term.
the way I
Rationality, it's not.
wait, there's clearly different notions of what people mean by that term because for one, I mean it in a very different way from you,
All
and
right, what is your meaning?
I've heard plenty of other people mean it in a very different way from both me and you.
All right, let's try to communicate in here. What is your meaning to rationality then?
Okay, don't you think that's irrelevant to your meaning of rationality, which is what we're supposed to be investigating?
All right, then it's the same. It's the same the other way. I'm just trying to understand you because you don't want to tell me. Then, if you think that
I can actually tell you. I can actually tell you, right? I just
tell
mean
me
that
because that's what I
it's
asked.
oriented towards some goal, but I don't think that's what you mean. So that's what I'm trying to figure
Oriented
out.
to some goal. What goal? Oriented in what way? Because animals are oriented in a lot of ways, but not for that they are rational. As long as I don't know, ants have a goal and they have the way to go for it. For that doesn't mean they have rationality.
I mean, the way I define it, it would be inclusive of
All
ants.
right, then
That's
I
why I'm
think
saying
there's
I'm trying
nothing.
to under.
Then
That's
I
why I'm
just
trying to
gonna
under.
say,
That's why I'm trying to understand what you mean so that I can understand why that's a qualifier.
qualify. I'm
Because
not really
by
talking
my
about it. I'm just
lights,
saying.
rational means something very broad.
Very what? Sorry.
Broad,
Say
meaning
so.
it can be applied very widely.
Yes, but there's a reason
And
why
it
there's a
seems like
clear
by your
and
lights,
very
it
and
seems
very
like by
clear
your lights,
definition of rationality.
you
It's just
haven't
that it
given a
shouldn't be
definition.
a what. You want me to give it a definition because I think it's very easy. I mean,
Yeah, we've spent the last 4 minutes, 5 minutes, probably
then
trying to
all right,
understand
it
what
doesn't
you
matter.
mean by the term, and for
For
some
me,
reason you started
all right, let's talk
investigating
about that.
my understanding of the word rationality, and only now, just now, are you sympathetic to giving your understanding of the term.
I was gonna say my my significance of rationality before, but whatever you say, lad, I don't know. I think it's always that rationality is the capacity that any human being has to think, to understand, to act, you know, with consistency.
Is
Understand
this
that?
exclusive to human beings?
In big part, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be rejected given that other animals think with consistency.
Yeah, but it's not the same way. I mean, maybe an
I
animal
don't
can
understand what the
understand
difference
some
is.
type of things. Oh my god, dude.
I'm trying
I
to
think it's
disambiguate the way you're using rationality such that it would preclude non-human animals, right?
wait, sorry, what?
Trying to disambiguate the way you use the term rationality such that it would
Disambiguate.
disclude non-human animals.
Rationality is just another thing that We humans have it. I don't saying that only humans can have it, but in this case, we do. All right. Maybe animals can think, but they evaluate in other ways that a human can. That's why I say that's not morally okay. Because I'm a fucking animal. Yeah, he can feel. He can maybe have some type of thinkings, but not as deep as that. A human being doesn't. Yeah, they suffer as much as human, and yes, they can feel as much as the human, but they do not see the way, and well, they not see the things the way that a human sees it. That's why it's not the same an animal to a human. That's why it's morally wrong to say that. And other things about it, even though,
Wait, so
all
what's
right,
the
let's say,
difference?
Lord, I just said it.
Yeah, I just didn't catch it.
There's no point on being and I'll talk with you when you don't even want to listen. Have a good night.
Okay, you can run away. That's fine.
Yeah, you can you can keep thinking the way you want. I mean, it's just
Look,
your
look. If you
opinion,
don't
bro.
wanna,
It's
if
like
you don't wanna explicate your
I
view,
said it. I
that's
said it.
fine.
I said it.
I'm just trying to understand what you mean, and it didn't seem like what you named was an actual difference. So I'm trying to get clear on it. But if you just want to run away, you just want to scamper away. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you just can't understand a normal talk, then it's okay. I mean,
Look, just
it's not
explain the
running. It's
difference.
just that
Just
I
explain
don't
the
want to talk. I
difference,
don't.
such that the
I did.
word rationality is
I
exclusive
did. I
to
did
non.
before.
Well, just do it one
I
more
didn't
time.
say it was explosive. That's literally what I said.
Just explain it one more time. Right? It shouldn't be that hard given that you have a really good understanding of it, right?
Well, it shouldn't be that hard if you had a really good understanding, right?
I don't have a good understanding. That's why I'm trying to investigate your view.
Then that's why I don't want to talk with you because you're an asshole who can't even have a normal conversation. That's it.
I'm being like
Go eat some
really,
fucking lettuce, my
really
little bunny.
charitable.
Bye bye. Womp womp.
Okay, just scamper
Okay.
away. That's fine.
I was away for a bit. What was his argument?
Who knows? I mean, I think he was trying to point to rationality or different consciousness being applied to non-human animals such that we could eat them. It's morally permissible to eat them. So I was trying to investigate what he means by consciousness and rationality, and I just could not understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty odd take that most people seem to want to run with. It's like humans are rational. Because I was hearing like the part where you were like, "Would you eat a human?" And he was like, "No." Even if it was legal? No. Okay, why? And it came down seemingly to like humans are rational. So, I mean, just by that logic, if we found a human who wasn't rational or fit whatever definition of rational he was using, is it now okay to exploit that individual? So,
Yeah, I don't know. He was saying like we have a different consciousness or something like that, and I was trying to understand what he meant by that, but I don't know. It didn't seem like he was doing a very good job. Am Faith, can I get your age?
34.
Okay, cool. Keith, do you want to talk to this person? I need to go use the restroom.
Well, I
yeah,
just want to
that's
know,
fine.
this is pro-veganism or what's the
Yeah,
point of the
it's
prompt?
essentially a discussion that will kind of like go into veganism, but yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So you're a vegan?
yeah.
And but you're just an activist for animals or?
Well, veganism would be an ethical stance against the exploitation of all sentient life where it's possible and practicable. So, I mean, really, I would just be an activist towards all sentient life, which is, obviously going to include humans as well. But yeah, you could also say, like, animals, because humans are animals. But yeah, it's just like a movement trying to do its best to avoid exploitation of sentient beings, basically.
Okay, so even like towards traditionals
What do you mean traditionals?
Well, there's traditional people who use animal byproducts or hunt for
Oh,
survival
well,
or traditional reasons.
yeah, I mean, that's baked into the definition of veganism somewhat to what you're getting at, because it sounds like you're trying to describe people who are doing this like out of like necessity.
I didn't say necessity, I said tradition.
Oh, well, I mean, virtually every culture on planet Earth, uses animals for like tradition. So now, like, having a like traditional statement to like use animals wouldn't be a reason to like continue. Like, for example, like in Southeast Asia, the reason that the modern chicken exists, for example, is because the groups of people that lived in Southeast Asia took the wild animal called the red jungle fowl and domesticated them. And the original tradition for this, for them, 7,000 years ago, was to use them for fighting purposes. They would, basically have these chickens fight. That was the original reason that the chicken was domesticated, actually. So I wouldn't look at the fact that that's like a traditional aspect of their culture and be like, thumbs up to chicken fighting rings just because it's their cultural norm.
Yeah, I wouldn't see it was reasonable at all. Although
Yeah, I wouldn't see
I'm
exploiting a
going
sentient
to,
being for
yeah,
any
no, I'm
reason without
gonna,
necessity.
no, I'm gonna assume that you're from the same continent as me, North America, where natives traditionally use other animals for their cultural benefits as well as survival.
Yeah, and I would understand survival. I wouldn't, just like again, like the prior example, I wouldn't understand doing these things for like purely like a cultural stance. It would just be in the respect to survival that it would be permissible, like in my view. Just like if, yeah, like a culture had like some kind of, tradition of exploiting humans for something, I wouldn't say that that's permissible just because it's like a tradition. Like, for example, like, do you know what like the appeal to culture fallacy would be?
No, explain it.
Yeah, it's basically like a fallacious take where we designate something as like automatically permissible or okay or validated simply because it's like a cultural norm somewhere. Because like if we were to just accept that on that value system, then like yeah, I would have to accept like a whole load of problematic things like it's traditional in certain regions to like stone gay people to death. It's traditional to do things like female genital mutilation. It's traditional to do cockfighting or bullfighting or all these other
Right.
things.
So you just accept it.
Yeah, I don't accept exploiting a sentient being simply for like a cultural or like traditional reason alone.
Okay, so then you'll just concede the fact that majority people are and should not be vegans.
Well, no, I didn't say that at all.
Well, well, you accepted it. That's literally majority of people have traditions and cultures. So
Well, that would be like me saying that like people shouldn't be like, gay in certain countries where traditionally they were stoned to death. Like I think those people should still be, gay. I think the people that were stoning them to death for like traditional or cultural reasons should stop.
okay, well, do you think that people who traditionally do hunt or whatever means, do you think that they should stop? Do you want
If
to
they're
interfere with their practice?
Yeah, if they're doing it out of necessity, I can grant
I didn't say that.
permissibility. Well, yeah, and I'm explaining. So if they're doing it for necessity, I can understand and grant permissibility for something like that. But if they're again doing something like that where they're ending the life of a sentient being or exploiting a sentient being simply because of a cultural tradition, no, I wouldn't grant permissibility off of that alone.
All right then. I don't think there's anything left to say. The fact that
Well, do you think that it's permissible for like any group to just do whatever they want, like around the world, based on like a cultural or traditional practice?
yes.
Okay, so like you do think things like stoning gay people to death, or chicken fighting rings, or bull fighting, or even dog fighting rings, or even like things like female genital mutilation, all those are like permissible in your eyes?
Well, the first sentence that you did engage to me was that you think that humans are animals, right?
Correct.
So you think that humans and animals are equals,
Yeah, in terms of like relative moral relevance, yeah.
right? So you
Wait, did
believe
you want to
in
answer the
rights.
question, Em?
Yeah, I'm still trying
I
to go
said yes.
back.
I did say yes, so I did answer.
Wait, so you
well,
just sign off on female genital mutilation just because it's someone else's culture?
Do you?
no.
Because
No, I'm
homeboy over here
I'm
did
asking
say
you,
it.
given that it's an implication of your view
Oh
so
no,
far.
no.
Oh,
Then
well, that's just
that's
that's
the
just a
contradiction.
contradiction.
Yeah, because like you're saying it's both
I mean,
is and is
the
not
whole
the
thing,
case
everything you
that.
just said makes a contradiction.
Well, no,
So I'm just going to be
just to explain this right, like premise one by you would be premise one. I would say that it's permissible for individuals to do things based on like their cultural relevance or traditional relevance, and then we present like an example of that happening in the world that you most likely don't support, like female genital mutilation or stoning gay people to death or dog fighting rings or what have you, and you look at those examples and go, well, except for those ones. Well, that's either a special pleading or it's a contradiction of the first premise.
which is exactly what you're doing with my points.
Well,
Anyways,
no, that's
so
what
you
you're
agree
answering.
that
That's what you're answering.
animals and humans are equal, right?
Yeah, in terms of the morally quantitative reasons within the definition of veganism. Yeah.
Wait, before we go
Yeah,
to all that, wait,
no one
no,
has more.
I don't know why you're over talking me. Before we go to all that, are we on the same page that that is a contradiction? And you can come off mute now.
Yeah, everyone's contradicting each other. Yes, I agree.
Wait,
No, I
what's
don't.
the contradiction
Well,
that we're committing?
wait, hold on. Okay, wait. So you agree that your view is just like completely incoherent?
I didn't give my view.
You
Well,
did
we
give
asked
your
you
view.
about your view. You did give it. You gave us your direct
No,
answer
I'm asking
for like
yours, and then you
several.
just like inserted your own.
No,
So
no,
congratulations.
Asked you, you had asked me that like, do you think that these people should be able to do an action just based off of like the cultural normativity or cultural practices that they've done for however many years, and then
That they continue to do.
right, sure. So and then I said, okay, well, what about these kinds of cultural practices, right? And you said, no, those ones are not okay, right? Like the stoning gay people to death and like dog fighting rings and female genital mutilation. You said all of those are not permissible, correct?
Well, yeah, no, I have a reason for it, but you won't let me continue on.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
what's
just go ahead and give the
that
reason.
wouldn't be contradictory?
Well, the reason is force doctrine.
Is what?
Force doctrine,
Forced
What do you mean by
doctrine?
that?
meaning that someone has rights and others don't, and it can only be implied on who can give force. And that's why
Wait.
humans and animals are not equal.
Can you explain that a bit better? I don't think either of us understood.
Meaning
what you're
that
saying.
force is a duty, absence.
What?
So, wait, okay. Explain to us why it's wrong for someone to, for instance, like perform the act of female genital mutilation for cultural reasons, but it would not be wrong to like, unalive an animal for like some cultural reason.
Okay, well, I'll explain. You know the country Papua New Guinea?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So would it be wrong to infringe on Papua New Guinea's cultural practices?
If they're committing, rights violations, I think it's
Well, what is a right?
considerable. Sorry, what?
What is a right?
I mean, a right would be like a varied thing. There'd be like negative rights and positive rights, but yeah, I mean, like a general negative right would be say like the right to life, which like most, there's like different philosophies on that. Some would say like, oh, a right can only be attributed by like some kind of moral agent towards another moral agent, but that doesn't make sense because we have, non-rational agents in the humankind, like people with severe mental disabilities, and we grant them rights despite the fact that they can't understand them. So it wouldn't really make sense to extend, them rights despite them not being rational, but we don't also extend the same rights to other sentient individuals who can also experience suffering. It just seems a bit contradictory at that point. So like we would just say, if there's a sentient individual who can, feel pain, can suffer, has their own subjective experience of the world, we would extend them, relative rights based on those kinds of merits, because we already do this right now for non-rational humans. So like that, like, if you wanted to basically do like an argument of like why non-human animals are not deserving of these basic negative rights, but humans are, then, we can ask you about that more and see what the symmetry breaker is between the two that's meaningful. But yeah, I mean, rights are just like, the ability for us to enforce and discuss and consider the well-being of others, so that there's like relatively equal and empathetic treatment towards other entities that are morally relevant.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about communication or equality. Really don't give a shit.
Wait, what?
So a force doctrine. So force meaning that it's a duty absent entitlement. I really don't give a shit. No one's equal. And I really don't give a shit about freaking animal rights. You're just gonna like bust up the whole time.
Well,
so.
no, I'm not like what.
Well,
okay,
no, you just
I'm
spurred
really,
on
I'm really
a
not
whole
like
sentence,
what's
a whole paragraph or two.
here. I'll simplify. Like, what's like a morally relevant trait, that would like differ between human animals and non-human animals that would justify, the needless oppression and exploitation of one for cultural reasons, but not the other for, needless cultural reasons.
Dumb it down, seriously.
Okay, so I have like a human in front of us, and I have a non-human animal in front of us. And you would say, on the right, the animal, the non-human animal, it's okay to exploit them needlessly. Like, we don't need to do the action. It's just it's a cultural desire to participate in a cultural normative thing that we've done for a long time, right? So it's okay to do that cultural normative thing to the non-human animal, but to the human, you would say,
Wait,
I assume.
Keith, make the other side of the analogy the dog fighting.
Well, so like,
there's two non-human scenarios, right?
I only don't want to do that because she just said a moment ago that she doesn't give a shit about animals or something. So I was trying to do.
I mean, that's obviously not true. Given that, I mean, she has a profile picture of a dog. She also said that, she doesn't support dog fighting. It seems like, I mean, I think there's an easier way to go about it other than.
Sure. Yeah. Like, okay, so like, let's say we could have one culture who wants to do like chicken fighting rings, like I said, like in Southeast Asia, and they want to continue that cultural norm, and then we have another culture that wants to continue doing dog fighting rings. Would you say that both should continue doing those actions? Like, before we go any further, should both continue to be able to like just do that because they want to?
I suppose.
Okay. Well, then maybe we do have to go through humans on this. Like, would you say, like, if there was like a culture that was like forcefully making humans like fight to the death, like non-consensually?
I mean, I'm actually not even. I don't even believe her. Okay, wait. Do you think we can just like light cats on fire if that's my culture?
No, I disagree.
Okay. What's the relevant difference such that we can't
you guys are just
cats on fire, but we can make
philosophy.
But wait. What's the difference such that we can't light cats on fire, but we can make dogs fight to the death, right? In virtue of both reasonings being put forward is that it's culturally acceptable.
I mean, you give me two scenarios. You wanted me to choose one. So, like, I mean, no, I don't agree with it. It's just like, I mean, your basis is philosophy and not morals.
Can you recapitulate the question that I just asked?
No.
Here, let's
Do you
let's
not
simplify
understand the
this.
question?
Yes.
Let's simplify
Okay.
real quick.
I mean, I
Okay.
don't even think you don't
We
understand. I
I
think it's like
I
very
already said
obvious.
yes.
maybe she does. We'll try one more time. Okay. So in front of us, there's two cultures, right? There's one culture on the left, another culture on the right. One culture is doing, say, like actions what your culture is doing. Like they're unaliving an animal to like end their life and then use their corpse for various reasons, whatever it could be, doesn't matter too much. But we're going to say they don't need to do this for like survival. They're just doing it, because they want to, effectively. They want to carry on a tradition. And then culture two on the left is, yeah, we can use the egregious example you just gave us. Like they're lighting cats on fire. It's like a ceremonial thing they do every like year or something where they light cats on fire. And like that's their tradition. Um, would you, again, just to check this, would you say that both of these cultures should continue doing both of these practices?
No.
Okay, so you would only say the culture similar to yours should continue doing the practice, but the other one should change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess yes, because morally,
Okay.
my morals are superior. That's it.
Okay. So then, like, what we'll want to figure out from here is, like, what's the, I guess, like, the morally relevant distinction that would justify, one culture continuing this exploitative practice of an animal when they don't need to, but doing it just for the cultural relativeness. And then same story on the left, but they're not, in your eyes, allowed to continue, or they should stop. What's the morally relevant difference between, say, your action and theirs?
Again, force. That's it. It's force.
Force?
Yeah.
Well, they're using force to light these cats on fire. Maybe you can explain that better.
How can I explain force better? It's whoever's
You-
like. I mean, do you not know what
What do you just
colonization is? Like, there's
well?
a reason why colonization exists. There's a
Wait,
reason why we have
no.
major
I'm just trying
religions,
to. What do you mean by force? Just
meaning someone can overtake another nation.
that. Okay, so like might makes right.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah, well,
scary.
that's present in the cat lighting case. So I don't even see
Yeah.
why that's
Okay.
unacceptable.
So what's the issue?
So the issue is
Well,
that you're saying it's not permissible, uh, or you're
What's
saying
not
it is
permissible?
permissible in the case where it's ambiguous what the outcome is going to be for exploiting animals because you have the force factor. But it's also true in the cat lighting case that you also have the force factor. So I don't see why that turns on whether or not it's impermissible.
And
well, yeah,
So
that's what we
there's
mean.
an
Like, there's the
inconsistency here.
contradictory, or yeah, it's inconsistent. It doesn't really add up. We're trying to figure out why, like, like the goal of this conversation would be like effectively. I would think, right? You would want us to adopt your like way of approaching these kinds of issues. Like, you would want us to adopt your logic and your morality and how you're approaching the world, and have us follow it. I assume that's what you would want. But like what we have right now is, again, like two cultures who are both exhibiting, the force or what have you, as you were explaining it. They're both using might to make right. Um, I just don't see how like that's up where it's wrong for one and right for the other.
well, because you already concede the fact that you already accept that other traditions, for example, natives, to continue on um, the wrongful killings of animals, which you believe, right? So you just
Uh,
it's
well,
just
no,
it's just
I said that I
backwards.
said that they
So
should.
so
I
you
said that
allow it,
all.
but you
Wait,
don't
hold
allow it at
on.
the same time.
Maybe we talked past one another. I'm saying that any like culture in the world, whether it's someone from North America, Asia, Australia, Russia, any part of the world, like if they have like a cultural like norm that is causing sentient beings to be needlessly oppressed or exploited, I would say that they should stop. It doesn't matter really what the action would be. I think they should stop doing that action. So like I would hold that view consistently. The only area again where I would like see any meaning for giving permissibility would be in states of survival where, like, I don't know, someone is in like the deep Arctic tundra and they have no access to like a grocery store, they can't grow food, they can't forage food meaningfully other than like, animals, et cetera, et cetera. And like they're literally only able to stay alive by consuming animals. I would understand that because I would understand that even for myself to do that action to stay alive. I just can't understand why someone would justify exploiting a sentient being when they don't have to and they have
Okay.
other options.
Well, that I can agree with, because I already know that like the farm fishing is totally exploitive. I already know that.
Yeah.
So my argument was because I'm not a vegan, but I do agree with a lot of vegan. I would feel like vegans actually do not help that, because majority of vegans are city slickers who don't even know how to farm. They don't even grow their own vegetables. So in that right, they're just like living in apartments and
Okay.
living off box
How does that go
corporations.
against?
Well, no, because they're giving their money into the big box
So, well, here,
corporations
I mean, let's
rather
say
than actually
let's say
using their
that's
knowledge to
true.
farm their own
Let's
land.
say that's true, right?
That is true.
Yeah, let's say that's true. Okay, so like you would basically call them hypocrites for, I don't know, engaging in capitalism, which I don't know, I think that's like a little bit of a slippery slope. I think a lot of people like are like in a lot of cases forced into having to participate in the capitalistic system that has been generated to really mostly no fault of their own, like personally. They just exist within an imperfect system. But let's say that they're like not doing their due diligence to try to, I don't know, fully fight back against that. I would say that they still have the correct ethical stance, right, where they would avoid exploiting sentient beings where it's possible and practicable. And it sounds like you would say that or well, I don't know. It just seems like a bit of like a tu quo quo or like eye for an eye fallacy. It's like you're doing this bad thing, so it's now okay for me to do this other bad thing or something. That's where I'm a bit lost. So like basically all the tu quo quo or like eye for an eye fallacy would entail is that if you think that they're doing that action over here wrong, like living in apartments or something, and that's wrong of them and they should stop doing that, and you've already stopped doing that, well, that wouldn't have any like bearing on this side of the argument that we're discussing, where yeah, you would avoid the exploitation of sentient life where possible and practicable. So like for you, who's I guess like not living in an apartment or not living in like standard housing or something like this, and you're like I don't know, living
Not giving into capitalism.
Sure. Like where in the argument would it be like again justified to needlessly exploit sentient beings when you don't have to?
Morality and force.
Well, we're back to square one with that.
Yeah.
We've
We
kind
really
of completed the circle. Like we already went over like because like if force is like what justifies things, then like the colonizers who destroyed this land are now like the good guys by that measure.
Wait.
Because they used force, right?
Colonizers destroyed the land?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Did they?
Yeah, I mean, they came in and they took over a vast majority of the land that was being managed by the native people here for a long time.
And the native people weren't destroying the land?
Yeah, they ended up putting up mass amounts of animal agriculture and taking away native ecosystems all across the board. Like,
what is the native ecosystem?
Like a system that is natively there within the
that's circular. What?
Yeah. Well, no, just like a system that is there, like without human influence, essentially.
So a tribe.
Well, no,
wait,
I said
without human instance.
Human
so
influence.
A human instance without human instance. What the fuck?
Human influence.
Okay, so a human influence without human influence.
No, a natural like a land that is like in its natural state before any kind of like human influence, essentially.
Okay, so the natives weren't human before colonization?
No,
my
that's not
god!
what I'm saying at all.
Am, are you like how are you this bad
No,
at bragging? Like, this is genuinely like terrible.
no, I cannot
Like,
bear humor.
genuinely, this is like horrible. Like,
Yeah,
like I
like
have
I'm
so
trying to
Absolutely not.
much
be I'm trying to
Absolutely.
be as like
secondhand
charitable and
embarrassment
meaningful
for
to you as
you.
possible, and it's like, yeah, you're just kind of like spitting back in my face for no good reason. Like I'm trying to explain that, like, yeah, colonizers absolutely tore apart vast majorities of native ecosystems, like ecoregions that had been flourishing natively on their own. Yeah, like there were patches where humans were influencing that land, but they usually had like a better influence on that land that was like meant to like care for the land and whatnot. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's a very strange approach here to just like get mad at me for like basically uh like explaining what you were just trying to get into. I don't know, it's very weird.
I don't know. She was just being really bad faith the entire time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there were a couple points where she was being slightly honest, but I mean, that was still really
Yeah,
bad.
it was weird. She was like, I agree with vegans on like a good amount of these things and this thing or something, and I was like, okay, cool. And then like it just like immediately went, well, vegans live in
Good
apartments,
morning,
so
guys.
now they're immoral. So I don't know, it's a bit weird.
Yo, can we get your age, King?
37.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm gonna let up this guy. Yeah, Leo, if you could hold on 1 second, we're just gonna talk to this guy and then we'll talk to you. What's up, King Mauve?
How's it going? Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, what's up?
What's that?
What's up? What's up? Did you want to
No,
respond to the
no, and
background?
I wanted to, I'm have a conversation with it, right? But not necessarily. I'm not going to hear debate about it, right? More of a conversation, honest conversation about it, right? Because I do agree with a lot of you guys on certain things, right? Especially the fact that um, as far as sorry, it's a little early for me, but especially with the fact that like we don't necessarily we should be I feel like we should be reducing um a lot of us eating meats and stuff like that, right, for because of the climate crisis, right. So we agree. I don't think that we should necessarily stop, but we should reduce it for sure significantly, and start actually eating the crops that we're feeding the animals themselves, because I know that I understand that it takes deforestation, right, the crops that we're growing to feed them, the water, right, the methane gases that it's I agree with all of that, right, because there's actual
Okay,
evidence and
all
science
right.
behind that.
We agree on a lot of stuff. What do you think we disagree on?
Well, we're going to disagree on the fact that obviously on the entire idea of going entirely vegan, right? Like I feel like um yeah, like we're omnivores at the end of the
What
day. We
is
were
go ahead, go
designed.
ahead.
The only thing I do ask,
Well,
like in this conversation,
quick.
if we can just keep it to realistic, like if we're gonna bring up a hypothetical or like a lateral kind of, if we can just keep it to something that's realistic, right? And not something
Hypotheticals just can't be as
that's not
realistic as
realistic.
possible. That's a
No,
absurd thing to agree to.
Why
But
is that not a
no.
fair? Why is that something fair to ask
Yeah,
for?
because when you test logical consistency, you just need to test whether or not something is logically possible. So it
But it's
doesn't need
not.
to
But
be.
like, let's say,
Wait, we're not trying to test the likelihood of something happening. We're just testing whether or
but
not
like,
something is
let's say
logically possible.
it's not fair to use. Let's say if burning cats are okay when we can all agree as a society, the majority of people agree that it's
No,
not
no,
okay.
okay, I just don't care about the crying. I just don't care. What's up, Leo?
What's up?
What's good? Sorry, that I don't know what that guy was on. He was just like begging that we don't use unrealistic hypothetical. Like I'm so confused by people who say that kind of crap.
I see. I see.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
what do
man.
you think? What do you think about that? I
Yeah, it's
mean,
ridiculous. It's obviously ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, I like, dude, like, if we're testing logical consistency, we just need to
Mm,
use. what's logically possible. I don't see why I don't. Yeah, okay. Anyways, what's up? What's up?
Nothing much. You want me to give, I guess, my argument for
Yeah, I mean,
veganism?
if you want to, or if you just want to, hang around,
Okay. I
you got
mean,
other things.
I do want to give an argument. If not, it's totally fine though.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So my view's kind of like, let's take like a fish for instance, right? Like maybe I think it's wrong to like analyze like cows and pigs, but let's take like a fish, which like doesn't really have the craziest experiences. They're not like rational. They don't experience like a significant amount of pleasure, like close to the pleasure that I do. Okay. They don't look like me either. They're not very anthropomorphic. It's legal to unalive them. There's tons of social norms that support unaliving them. I mean, all those things seem to matter a lot. And then you also take the fact that my life seems so much more morally valuable than a fish. If you were to ask someone, who would you rather unalive, someone like me or 10,000 fish? They would probably choose me in a heartbeat. So it seems like my life just dwarfs the fish so much that if I could like painlessly end its life and enjoy like a lot of pleasure from eating it, I would just probably be justified in that.
Um, I mean, I am a little bit skeptical because, I mean, even if somebody did have some sort of steaming where they go, yeah, like I would save Leo over like 10,000 fish or something. I don't think that establishes a similar intuition that it's permissible to just unalive a fish when it's just not necessary.
Well, I'm not saying it implies. I'm saying that what it does imply is that there's like this like massive moral difference between me and a fish, like very substantive. So okay, if my life is worth that much more than a fish's life, what about my pleasure? Right? What about the pleasure I get from eating them? Because I get a lot of pleasure from eating fish, and I get harmed by not eating fish. It really upsets me, right? I feel like my quality of life is somewhat worse if I don't eat fish. So just given those facts of my well-being, and then given all the other things I mentioned about how it's like not rational, how it like doesn't look like me, how there's like no social or legal protection for them. It just seems pretty obvious that it's okay to unalive fish.
I mean, I don't really share the intuition. Like, I mean, given that there's no like, uh, so when you're considering the fact that the fish has a life and it's just completely unnecessary to end their life, uh, I mean, are you saying like just your pleasure that you get from like the outcome of ending their life outweighs their life entirely?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what's so important about the life of a fish. Like,
Yeah, I
isn't
mean,
there?
it seems like it
Why
does
would
seem sort of like this, like a similar type of reasoning can be used in the case of like another animal for like a different kind of pleasure. And I think, I
like
don't know, I
what?
think that would reach unintuitive conclusions. Like, like if somebody said, well, I'm just going to make some dogs fight to the death, and that's because I want entertainment pleasure. And that outweighs the
Dog
dog's
and a fish.
life.
Dog and a fish are completely different. Same thing. Like 500 fish or a dog, where everyone's choosing the dog. Like, it's just not
Well, I don't
comparable.
know about everyone. Like some people have like pet fish and they don't really care about dogs like that, right?
Crazy.
Crazy. Okay.
Obviously, you should save a dog over 500 fish.
All
Like a
right,
puppy or 500 fish. Like, come on. You're obviously a
but
bad
okay,
person.
so I mean, even if that were true, like, like I think the same, like the point is just that sort of reasoning could be used in another context, and I think it would reach a counterintuitive conclusion.
But it wouldn't, though, because my pleasure doesn't outweigh the life of a dog. It outweighs the life of a fish.
Okay, so how are we doing, the calculus there?
I think it's pretty intuitional. I mean, you just like you have like a pretty good grasp or level of, the standing of the moral value between like a dog and a fish. You see it's pretty significant. You kind of ask yourself questions about, does your pleasure really outweigh the life of a dog, given all the value that dogs have, given all their valuable traits that just dwarf the traits of a fish? And I feel like if you were to trade equalize the dog with a human, you're going to have to bite some bullets. But when you trade equalize a human with a fish, you do not have to bite any bullets.
I mean, I think you have to bite the same bullets. I don't really.
Absolutely not.
What would
What was the
be
case?
the different bullets that you'd have to bite for the dog case, but not the fish case?
I have a quick question for Big Leo, if that's okay, good sir.
Just hold on 1 second, if that's okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so a bullet you'd have to bite is something like, imagine you have like this baby that like a baby and a dog's cognition are like pretty similar, right? Like you have like a toddler or something, and this toddler starts slowly transforming into a dog, and now it's a dog. It still has like the mind of a toddler. Like intuitively, it's like very wrong to unalive that being. I would say anyone who bites that bullet is probably pretty insane. And then in the
I
fish
mean,
case,
fish are also really smart, though.
they're not.
What?
How are fish smart?
Fish are really intelligent, dude.
In what sense?
Do you have any evidence for this?
Like a salmon? How's a salmon intelligent the way that a dog is? What behavioral traits would indicate that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the empirics around that. I do think, maybe it's unjustified to think this, but I do think there are some traits that are, that fish retain that are similar to dogs that make it sort of unjustifiable.
What traits are those? I'd like to know what those traits are, to be honest.
Here, let me just look some up real quick so that I'm not just like shooting in the dark.
Wait, take a salmon or something, or like what's like the dumbest fish that we eat? Do that one, like a trout
Take
or
a mackerel, man. Those
Yeah,
taste
yeah.
real good.
Sardines or something.
Oof, those are good too.
I'm gonna just look up what the dumbest fish is, and then that's the being I'm gonna be defending the slaughter of.
So, is a salmon the best candidate, you think?
Look at that. Dumbest fish that we eat.
Bruh.
I think it's the sunfish. Okay, we're eating the sunfish. You guys support the rights of sunfish?
Okay, here, let me type that one in. Okay, strategic cleaning behavior. Sunfish visit specialized cleaning stations, allowing smaller fish and even seabirds to remove parasites from their skin. They often lie on their side at the surface to allow seabirds to feed on the parasites, exhibiting an understanding of where to get help. Active foraging and foraging intelligence. Contrary to popular beliefs, sunfish are active predators, not just drifters. They use their large eyes to locate jellyfish, and as they grow, they specialize in finding easy to catch prey.
Also, knowing where to get help is like obviously that does not follow from the behavioral traits that they gave. Like, it's probably just knowing where to get help. Like it's probably just the case that they get pleasure or they don't get pain when they go to a specific area, so they just like keep on doing it. Like there's no evidence that they actually have like knowledge of anything.
I mean, I think I would disagree with that, honestly. Like, I don't.
Fish is also like
it's.
first of all, it's like ugly as fuck, and also you
I
said
don't
something about
think
like
that's
birds.
relevant
Birds
at
eating it.
all.
That's very relevant. And you said something about birds eating it. Like, bro, that's nasty. Like, why do I care about this being again? I actually don't understand.
Well, the birds are eating the parasites, right? So it's drifting up to like the surface of the water, so such that the birds would take away the parasites from its body.
I do not care.
Well, I mean, I mean, regardless of whether you care or not, it's just another demonstration of why they would be considered intelligent.
I'm not sure if like doing things that increase or conducive to survivability is supposed to be good reasons to believe things intelligent. It's like many counterexamples to this. And also, we don't have like, sufficient reference class to infer that for any being that does this, or for most beings that do this, they are actually socially intelligent.
What's like a counterexample to
Yeah, I mean
that?
bacteria, man. Like things like called chemotaxis. They react to stimuli in the same way, in which is conducive to their survivability. They're obviously not very intelligent though. Same with viruses. They're just literally not even living, so they just couldn't be intelligent. But they do the same thing, etc. So many counterexamples, and also I'm not confident the reference class is large enough to make the inference I spoke about earlier.
So you're saying that there are biological organisms that don't have a mind and they exhibit similar traits, but we wouldn't classify them as intelligent. Is that right?
Yeah. So it seems like unless one was to like give us a sufficiently large reference class, it wouldn't be a good reason to believe this is indicative or emblematic of intelligence because it exists,
Why
already two
posit that they're mental?
examples.
Like, why posit their mental facts are doing any explanatory work there? Like, what's
Yeah,
the
for
that?
sure.
Well, the problem is I think that the mental facts are doing explanatory work for the dog case and like the human case.
Obviously.
Yeah. So I think that's probably
Well,
a
that's just
problem.
A
we
clear
can
distinction.
all agree there exist mental facts that do explanatory work. We're just saying the types of mental facts that are true for the fish and the degree at which they are isn't sufficient to say that they're likely intelligent in the same way a dog or a human's intelligent. Or even like as close if you want to give some sort of metric for it, even as close numerically as the intelligence of a human or a dog, right? I don't even mind granting it's intelligent. I don't see how it's going to help because it wouldn't be as intelligent as a dog or the human,
My
which
dog
is the
is
main
so
point.
intelligent. Like,
Well,
my dog is
that's
so
yeah.
intelligent, bro.
Well, that's what I thought Leo's argument was like sort of hinging upon. So that's the thing we were challenging.
Yeah, like my dog is so intelligent, bro. Like, it's not even close.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure what he's saying is that there exists like a level of intelligence in which once a threshold's been met, not sure if he knows the threshold, maybe it's like vague. That's to imply they have a certain moral value such that they couldn't be eaten or they shouldn't be eaten. Whereas below that, there seems like to be no issue, given some countervailing reasons why the agent consuming them, with them being consumed by the given agent, right? Namely the human. So yeah, I don't really see how this is like very contentious.
Like, what are the types of pleasures that this fish experiences versus like my dog, bro? My dog enjoys like belly rubs, bro. Like, he's salivating for the food, bro. Like, this guy has clearly a high quality of well-being, bro. This fish does not have a high quality of well-being. There's no way that the well-being of this fish comes close to the pleasure that I get from eating it. Like,
Well, I mean, that's also like sort of an empirical claim, right? You're saying specifically that this fish does not have similar well-being, but I mean, I would just remain agnostic on a view like that before I have empirical evidence. I mean, do you have like empirical evidence for that?
I
no,
mean, obviously, right? It's like the way they respond to stimuli that's like, that typically incurs positive hedonic states for humans is similar to the way we react. You know, that's like one thing. So you can build like a really large reference class from that. So that'll be like strongly inductively supported. Uh, on top of that, it just seems like when we pleasure, I should probably shouldn't say pleasure.
Wait. The first thing was just that they share similar hedonic states.
No, they share certain behavioral traits of humans in response to things that would typically incur positive hedonic states with humans. So there's like a high correlation for humans, at least, between certain stimuli and certain behavioral traits, and also positive hedonic states, which would also seem to imply that if the behavioral traits are the same for the dog, it would also be true that they have like these positive hedonic states. That's what's being said, yeah.
I'm not sure I'm following.
But imagine I said to you, like, I have like a million, well, I have like let's say at the very least, I have a billion examples of people in which when X happens to them, they behave in a certain way, Y, and that's to imply that, T is true of them, where T is like, have a positive hedonic state. I can generalize that for all beings with relatively similar behavioral traits in reference or in response, sorry, to that, stimuli, which would also be inductive evidence or inductive reason to believe that they have that trait T, right? That's just all we're doing, so inductive generalization.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly just not following very well. Not gonna
Bro,
lie.
it's a correlation, man. We can infer from a correlation, bro.
I mean, I don't doubt that your reasoning is sound or something. I'm just not following very well.
Oh, okay.
Also, these fish, they don't like survive into adulthood because they're stupid. They can't survive. Like, even if we grant that survivability and intelligence are correlated, like, these fish are so
Wait,
dumb.
they can't survive until adulthood?
Like, so many of them just like aren't alive because of how bad they are at surviving.
I mean, how do you rule out like alternative explanations for why they unalive?
Okay,
I could
I
just
don't
say
want
the
to sound
same
like I'm
thing.
dodging, but imagine we don't. Like another like plausible kind of explanation is they just want to die, right? Which seems like actually be in favor of the meat eaters view, the carnivores view, right? That's like another plausible explanation. They just really want to die at that point, which is actually expected if they just die at a high rate, right?
Yeah, okay, well,
Especially if they become
how do you rule
intelligent
out
zero
the
for.
explanation, the alternative explanations where they don't want to die, but they're unaliving by, some external cause?
Well, them wanting to die does not rule out, there being external cause, but the way we rule out the other competing hypotheses is just by saying that, firstly, the prior probability is lower, right? Because once again, there exists inductive,
Wait,
we're getting
I
inductive.
would just reject that. I think the prior probability is very high, actually,
Well,
given
just
that we are like
substantiate why I think it's
overfishing the
lower.
oceans and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just substantiate why I think it's lower, right? So, if the other ones take the form of like the fish is intelligent and the fish is doing X because of Y, where X is like just dying, right, purposefully, given it's intelligent, that's gonna be unexpected, right? If it was the case that they didn't want to die, right? Because when we look at intelligent beings like humans, once again, or monkeys, or penguins, etc., when they want to die, when they die, right? From things they could easily prevent, it's either A because of like some sort of accident, or B because they wanted to die, and we have good reason to believe that's true, based on questionnaires from humans and based on the behavioral traits of the animals that can't conduct questionnaires, etc. So the point is just that when beings typically want to die, uh, they exhibit these certain behavioral traits that should be equalized for the fish in this instance, but it isn't. So it seems like you'd want to say that either the probability of them being intelligent is really low, or the probability of them being intelligent is high, but then also they'll just seem to increase the credence of them wanting to die because intelligent beings do what's conducive to their desires, including wanting to die, right? That's basically it.
Yeah, and what increases the credence of believing that they would want to die?
Yeah, because intelligent beings do what they can do, that's conducive to their desires. And if they wanted to die, they're intelligent. Presumably, they'll do things that are conducive to that. And you're just giving us data that seems to imply that the actions they conduct are conducive to that because they die, at a very high rate, right? For things they
Well,
could
it's wait, 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 wait. It's compatible with the outcome that they do die at a high rate, that they're not wanting to die. So I don't understand what's
Yeah, of
raising the
course it is.
hypothesis.
No, obviously it's
Sorry.
compatible, right? It's like no contradiction. But the point being made is just more expected because, once again, intelligent
Well,
beings
I'm not
do.
seeing why it's more expected.
Well, then if you're not saying that, then it's just very trivial, right? We all agree
No, I'm
it's.
not. I'm not seeing why it's more expected that they would want to die.
I'll make it more explicit, right? So if we assume the fish is intelligent, which is what you want to assume, then it'll be true. They do what's conducive to their given goals, and if they do some like action X disproportionately, that's just to imply that that X is either conducive to their goal or is the goal. They die disproportionately in contrast to other species or I don't know whatever you call it. So that's just good inductive reason to believe that they
I
either
don't understand why that's good inductive reason to believe that they would want to die.
because the prediction made on a being and a being intelligent is that they conduct actions that are conducive to their goals, right? Or actions that end in their goal, right? Which actually seems like almost the same thing, anyways. And the action being conducted here is just dying, right? Or doing things that lead to their death. That's easily preventable, right? That's what's being
It's
said.
wait. It might wait. I don't know how you're inferring that it's easily preventable.
That's what was stated earlier, right? Unless we have good reason to believe that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, we would need to understand
Wait, we're
why
just
it's
like basing
true.
this out like without like quantifying like what kinds of ways are they dying in.
Yeah, who brought up them dying again? Because I'm pretty sure someone mentioned that they die in ways in which it was easily preventable, which was a good reason to believe they're not intelligent. Then I raised the
Well,
point that if
they
they
would
were
need
intelligent,
yeah they would have to bring up
Mhm.
like what those reasons for their deaths are like and that's going to be different by species. Like this is just like such like a ridiculous like calculus to figure this out because there's like countless fish species and the reasons for like their unalivements
Sorry, you
could
cut
be
out.
yeah, there's countless different fish species in the world, right? I mean, there's going to be like all
Hmm.
kinds of different like probabilities and reasons for like higher rates of unalivement for one versus the other. Like, like there might be like a high rate of salmon unaliving because like they're traversing like a massive network of ocean and freshwater bodies trying to like swim up against currents, and they encounter bears at higher rates or whatever that are like, basically scouting out these areas where they see the salmon jumping. Some, fish might be populating areas where humans are polluting the water and they just die in like mass graves. There might be like, fish that are just like, yeah, in like a super predator like territory where there's just animals all over that want to eat them and they're hard to evade. I mean, yeah, I don't really see how that like without them like
agree.
quantifying like, like an example of them like, I don't know, quote unquote wanting to die would be like some kind of like extremely easy to like avoid obstacle that also kind of like signals that it's not like, it's not like deceptive, like it appears dangerous, and like there's like, I don't know, some kind of intuition to avoid it, but they're not avoiding it or something like that. Maybe could point in that direction, but I have no idea otherwise.
Look, what I mean, obviously, I agree with what you're saying, right? If you change the datum, the conditional probability may increase or decrease. That just seems like trivially true, right? The question is, what is the datum? So the datum, from what I understand, currently is that they die, and I thought it was implied earlier, they die of means in which it's easily preventable. However, if that's
Well,
not
that was
true,
well, that was
Where are they
that's
getting that data is the question. Who said that?
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's
Because like I
Bigleodebates.
just looked it up, and I mean, there's like commercial bait catch, there's pollution, vessel strikes. These are all
I mean,
explanations
most
that
of it
could
is
fit the data,
bycatch,
right?
Like we like go into the ocean and we like trawl out of the ocean like 1 to 3 trillion marine animals every single year, just like human activity itself. Like, so like that's
Mm.
us forcefully going in and doing that action. So that's definitely not them like quote unquote wanting to die.
Yeah, bear in mind the inference is made, assuming that the deaths that happen to them was preventable. But given the new data, I mean, we can just still say that this is good reason to believe they're not intelligent, anyways, right? Because presumably, for any intelligent beings that we see, or intelligent species we see, when impacted by external things like environmental effects, they typically just move, right? Or they do things to prevent that. Basically, well, I shouldn't say evolve, right? But basically, do things to prevent those things or mitigate those certain circumstances. Whereas these fishes aren't doing that, which is just unexpected if they were intelligent. I guess you did a study on this, by the way. Let me find it.
We're not really like seeing, I guess, like examples of this anyways. I don't know, and
Well,
I also
most
don't see like, if
for
some
example,
like
being most
human,
suburban
if there was
animals,
some
right?
human who had like anencephaly and wasn't avoiding harm because they didn't know that it was harmful. I mean, I wouldn't be like, that's now good cause for me myself, who's supposed to be rational, to now exploit them just because they're like, you know, too stupid to avoid harm. I think that's like a really
Well, I'm
egregious
not
take
talking
at
about
that
like
point.
killing them, as exploiting them by any means, but um, yeah, I mean, look, that's not the claim. Also, the claim was just supposed to be that given they have some sort of intelligence that's lower than the average dog or human being, that seems like good enough reason to imply that we can consume them, right? That's what's being said.
I mean, I think average is just like a bit of like a absurd like statement because yeah, like again, like intelligence could tell us like a little bit about things, but it, intelligence doesn't like equate to like capacity to suffer.
Okay.
You can
What
unalive
if
it
it's about the
painlessly.
classic stuff? Why'd that be relevant?
You just unalive it painlessly.
Okay,
Sure.
how do you unalive someone painlessly?
Like an injection.
If you give an animal injection, it's no longer edible.
What?
Yeah, you can look that up. If you give animals like lethal injections, they're not fit for consumption at that point.
Yeah, given certain, yeah, we can even just grant that's the case for all animals and for all ways in
Yeah.
which we inject.
Also,
Just
yeah,
by the
again,
way,
I
just to
don't really
grant.
think like painless unalivements are meaningful. Like if I took like a human with like hydranencephaly and unalived them, like painlessly, quote unquote, like, and I didn't have like proper consent, I don't think that's like essentially correct to do just off of like the fact
The
that I
relevant
did it
distinction would be the
painlessly.
species, presumably, right? But um, I mean, yeah, we can even just grant that injecting animals, under this world, implies that they can't be edible. It's a counterfaction in which we develop a way in which we can inject these animals
Yeah,
to incur
I don't think that would be
painless deaths.
meaningful. I don't think that'd be
Huh?
meaningful. Yeah, I
I
don't think
wasn't
that'd
asking
be
if it's meaningful.
meaningful.
That just seems like a weird platitude. Not really sure the relevance. What I was going to ask you was, would it then be, immoral to consume that animal, right, or kill it that way? Because obviously no
Just
suffering's been
like
incurred.
again, just like how I think if you like painlessly unalive a dog when you don't have any like just cause or reason to be doing that, then
Why are you
no.
pointing out the various asymmetries between a dog and a fish?
Yeah. The obvious asymmetry is what we pointed out earlier. It's like seems to be like a difference in intelligent
Even you hold
plus.
the view that there's a massive
Well,
asymmetry.
I don't really share that seeming, so
Right,
I mean,
10 fish or a dog, which one more valuable?
Well, that's not how we met. Like, if we had like your mother versus like 20 bajillion dogs or something, like someone might pick their mother in like a savior scenario.
I didn't
That's
ask.
not like really.
I
That's
didn't
not
ask
really
who you would pick. I
That's
just
not really. Well, hold on. That's not analogous. It's a false dilemma. It's not analogous to like the concept of needless exploitation.
I didn't ask.
Like the question isn't like who would you survive or who would you like pick for like like in like a burning building scenario. Like veganism isn't like a question of like who are you going to pick in this burning building, like a random dog or a
I know,
random
bro. I know.
human. The vegan dilemma would be, hey, are you going to throw a dog or a human into a building needlessly when you have other things that would like
Like,
cause it so that you don't have to do that action?
I know what I did. Like, I didn't ask like who you would say. I'm just saying, what's more morally valuable, 10 fish or a dog?
well, it's kind of hard. It's kind of loaded in a way
Yeah, it
because
might be different. Like if
it's
someone if
it's
we had a
strange.
human that said like they valued the 10 fish over the one dog, is that now like meaningful?
Reductio.
Because we would
Why is
need
that a
like a standardized
reductio?
Wait,
questionnaire
but
regardless
okay,
Why would
of.
wait,
that be a
but
reductio?
It's absurd. What?
It's not
Also,
absurd.
we would need like good reason to believe the
Like
person saying is
someone could
actually
be a
truthful, right?
someone could be a marine biologist and like they grew up around fish and they very much value fish and like they see the beauty and intelligence in fish far more than say you do. And so for
I mean, if
them,
you listen to what I said, you
if
would
they see
already
a
know the
question like
objection
that,
to
Would
if
they
the
they
value
see a
obvious
one
question
fish
like
asymmetry.
more than
that,
that dog?
they might have this and this is the point I'm making. Like just because you have like a value system, like I could have a person who would say like, they might value like in every scenario ever, they would value like saving a human over a non-human animal. They definitely don't have now a meritable reason to go
Not.
out
Oh my
and
god, bro.
hold on. They don't have a meritable reason to go out and now needlessly oppress and exploit human animals just because they care more about human animals. And the same doesn't apply in the inverse.
The question isn't who do you want to save. The question is just which being has more moral value.
Yeah, I just went over this. The value system doesn't tell us that it's now
Yeah, of
okay
course it
to
is.
needless.
Because
No, it doesn't tell us.
you were trying
Hold
to give
on,
an
no, no, no,
analogy
no,
with a
no, no.
dog, and I
This
said there's
doesn't.
various
This no.
asymmetries.
This is like
Right?
an is odd gap. This doesn't lead us to a
What?
conclusion that because if you
What?
care,
Wait,
I'm
what are the
telling you,
descriptive premises that infer the normative conclusion?
wait. If someone cared,
Say,
right?
wait,
If we
brother,
had a
right?
human, if we
Wait,
had
let's
a
just get
human in
premise
front of
one,
you right
premise two, and
now,
the conclusion on the
if we
table,
had a
right?
human in front of you right now who said, "I value my mother over all other humans," do they have a meaningful justification to now exploit all other
No, and you're
humans just because
equivocating
they
on
care about
value.
their mother?
You're obviously equivocating on value there. In one
What?
sense, you're using
You're
it
the
in like
one who's
in the
placing value as the meritable reason to cause exploitation
when I
and
say value,
oppression.
I don't mean like who you care about more.
What? Okay,
I'm talking
then
about
what the
like with
fuck are you
respect to like
saying?
the traits that they have. Like I think like my mom and like you have like equal moral value. Obviously, I'd say my mom over you, but you guys have equal moral consideration, right?
wait, so what do you
Okay,
mean by
wait.
value, Leo?
Yeah.
That's like a meta-ethical question, but I mean, you could just talk about like the traits that it composes of, like non-relational traits specifically. So like traits intrinsic to the being, and then you could say like which ones you think are more important than other traits, or which one should be given priority over other traits.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's kind of hard to weigh those out, especially with like the
For a fish
fact
and a
that,
dog,
yeah, I mean, so the problem is that when we go to evaluate a situation like that, we're heavily influenced by, our psychology and our social upbringing and our socialization with those particular animals, right? And those are going to influence how we assess those situations. So I don't know if that's doing the normative work when it just reduces to
so you're
descriptive facts about
you're
how we
agnostic.
come to this evaluation.
You're agnostic on what has more moral value between a dog and a fish.
Yeah, I would be.
Are you agnostic on a newborn baby versus a fish?
I mean, not really. I mean, you mean like a human baby?
Again, like this is
Yeah.
just like this is like again like the is-ought gap. Like you could just turn this around and
Well, look,
someone
given
like
given the fact that he's
just turn this
agnostic on
around, just
dog
turn this
versus
around. Like
fish,
no, hold
maybe he
on,
might
just
be agnostic on newborn versus
I'm
fish,
not
not
even
just the
saying I am
reductio,
this
right?
person. I'm not even saying I am this person. Pretend you have someone in front of you who says, I care more about fish. I place a higher moral value on fish personally than humans, right? Does this person now have a just cause to go out and needlessly oppress and
No.
exploit human babies?
First of all, no, and second of all, they just bit a
Okay,
fucking
then
bullet. They just
like
bit a
this
bullet.
is
That's
ridiculous.
a reductio.
There's no
Wait, what's the
is-ought gap being
reductio?
bridged.
The reductio is that fish are more morally valuable than me and you.
Well, not in this person's eyes.
I mean,
They
yeah,
aren't.
not to that
What? That's not a
person.
reductio.
They would just say
No, it's
that
not.
your view is the reductio, right?
Yeah.
They're wrong, bro. What?
Oh, really, Matt?
Okay, well, they would just say you're wrong. I don't understand why that's like a reductio.
There's so many
It's supposed to show. It's supposed to show the absurdity of the view. If we were to ask, majority of people which view is more absurd, they would say obviously the view in which fishes are more valuable than humans. Then there would be a successful reductio on that view.
But I was
right?
curious, Herb. Like,
Wait, that's
given
not.
you're agnostic,
that's-
given you're agnostic on dogs versus fish, are you agnostic on newborn babies versus fish as well?
Well, here's the thing,
so,
though.
like, I
Hold
think
on.
the
I just have
same-
to interject really quickly. You guys
Okay.
aren't understanding. Our view isn't either your view or that person, the
I
example
was just
person.
helping you
view
answer the
either.
question. I don't understand.
No.
Yeah,
No,
it's just
hold on.
lodge, right? And
Just
I
wait.
already
Like,
look. I think specify the conceptual relevance of the question.
Please
'cause I know
allow
you're
this
gonna
to
say what's
breathe.
red herring.
Please
We'll
allow
be
this
20
to
to
breathe.
answer the question. I don't know why would you like to dodge them. I'm kind of confused.
How about this? How about I establish the conceptual relevance of the question? Then you answer.
Just please. I just want to establish
You're begging
that
us to let you dodge, what?
Okay, fine. You can go.
oh my god. Okay, so there's like the position, right, where you guys are saying I care more about humans than animals, essentially, or I have a higher moral weight on humans than animals, this animal or whatever. And we have the inverse person, and that person says, because I care more about fish or whatever non-human animal this is, it's now justified because of that for me to exploit this this human animal. And then your guys' argument would be, okay, I have more moral weight for humans, and it's now justified for me to cause this exploitation and oppression towards this non-human animal because of these XYZ traits, right? We're saying we don't adopt either of those views. We would say both of those views are debunked. Like the problem is that both of them are creating an is-ought gap where they say automatically because this animal is lacking in like intelligence or something else like this, which when we put that to the test, if that's like an actually morally relevant trait, which it's not, because if I have an unintelligent human with a nancephaly, you would still say don't exploit them. So it's not intelligence that matters here. It would be actual morally relevant traits, which would be the capacity to suffer, sentient experience, which the fish is going to have, the humans are going to have, all other animals effectively are going to have. The only realm where we would approach like agnosticism would be like, I don't know, like jellyfish perhaps. But otherwise, like we're talking about sentient beings who can suffer, and we're inflicting that for no good reason, just simply because we want to.
All right, so I guess maybe you're unclear on why I asked this question. What I wasn't trying to get at is that because the fish is like less valuable than me, it's okay to unalive the fish. Okay, you tried to give a reductio to the fish case by talking about dogs. I told you there was an asymmetry. You said no, there's not, and I said there is because obviously a fish is more valuable than a dog. And then you disagreed. You said you were agnostic on the proposition, right? That's obviously insane. And I want to push to see just how insane this view really is. I'm going to ask you,
That's just
what's more
question
morally
begging when you
valuable
say
between a
there's an
newborn baby?
asymmetry. When
I
you just
explained the
say
asymmetry
there is an
multiple times.
asymmetry, right? That's just question begging.
First of all, I've explained the asymmetry multiple times, but second of all, and most importantly, given the fact that you're agnostic on what has more moral value between a fish and a dog, which is, by the way, obviously insane, what's your view on newborn babies versus fish, right?
Wait,
Do you hold a view there?
We just explained this, dude. We don't adopt that position.
Wait,
we would
sorry,
say
just to be
none
clear,
of
you
these
signed off-
individual like no,
Wait,
this
what?
is such like an absurd take. Like you're saying like, oh, because we don't want to oppress or exploit any of them when we don't have to.
That's not the
it now
critique.
concludes that we like again
That's
like
not
if
the
you wanna-
criticism.
if-
Look,
no,
you've
no,
already
no, no,
signed
no.
off on the view
no,
that you're
really
agnostic.
really
Wait, hold on.
simply,
Wait,
if
what?
you want an answer to that question, yeah, if we had a realistic scenario, if you're giving me a false dilemma where I have to pick one over the other, I personally would choose, to save the baby over the fish or whatever. But that doesn't mean
Oh, but you're
again, just
agnostic on
because,
the dog
again,
versus
this
the
is the problem with picking savior scenarios to
decide who we should oppress and exploit needlessly, because you're making an is-ought gap that it is the case that I would save a human from a burning building over a fish, that now means I should put fish in a burning building when I don't have to.
Given that you
That's the is-ought gap that
you
needs
do
to be
value the
bridged
dog.
here.
So you do value the dog more than the fish, just to be clear.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it actually
That's
does
the
matter,
point we're
because
making.
what you did was you tried to give an analogy with
This
what you
has
tried to do, right?
zilch,
Look,
no
it actually
bearing on
does, because
veganism
you
at
tried to give a
all.
hypothetical with a dog
No.
in it, right?
Oh my
To
God,
respond
this-
to the thing I said about the fish.
No,
Right?
no,
That's what
the
you tried to
point-
do.
the point-
You
the
scumbag,
point-
even though you
no.
realize that it is the case that there is a value discrepancy.
That is not exact. No, dude. The point being made here is none of this has any bearing at all on veganism. Veganism is a stance ethically against unnecessary exploitation and oppression of sentient beings where possible and practicable. So I have no idea where this would make like veganism fallible, where it's doing something wrong or incorrect.
Wait, let me
Where
just
if
debunk
we were
that.
given a
Just debunk
false
that real quick.
dichotomy or a dichotomy of two options where it's like save a baby or save a fish, or save a dog or save a baby, or save a fish or save a dog, or whatever the hell, in those dichotomies, we might elicit an answer that would cause exploitation to one sentient being or another. We have to pick exploitation of one sentient being over another in that scenario. Veganism is saying when you don't have to oppress or exploit any sentient being, you shouldn't, because they can suffer. They're sentient individuals.
If it's the case that me pinching a fish would cause it very, very little harm and it would give me immense pleasure, right? It would give me like the most pleasure conceivably possible. Do you hold the view that it's impermissible for me to pinch the fish there?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What? Oh my god. Wait, what if they gave me like $1 billion?
What?
Is it still impermissible?
Wait, like how are you using this $1 billion?
Yeah,
I'm like curious. Like firstly,
like spend it on myself,
gain?
spend it on my family. Yeah, spend it on myself and my
So
family.
like, is it if I break a child's arm to get $1 billion? Is that okay?
Obviously, there's an asymmetry there.
Oh, here we go again.
Between a child and the fish, which you already fucking agree
what's the symmetry breaker?
You already agree there's a symmetry breaker, first of all, so I'm not sure why you're even asking that question.
Yeah, it's basically based off of like personal preferences and like nothing meaningful about the individual. The individual can still suffer.
You agree that there is a wait. You agree that there's a trait distinction.
Don't actually work again.
You agree that there was a trait. You agree that they weren't morally comparable.
None of this has any
doing
meaningful relevance within veganism, because none of this is a debunk of veganism. None of this leads to the premise that because you might gain some like tangible pleasure from exploiting a sentient being, it's now justified.
You can't reductio my position. What you're going to try to do is appeal to newborn babies. You're going to try to appeal to
this kind of like infinite happiness scenario in order to make your point. Okay, great. So you exploit one fish and gain infinite happiness. Cool. You
obviously it's okay to do that. What are you talking about?
You have permissibility to do that. So is your taste pleasure is that like a symmetrical to like infinite pleasure?
No, I was just making the obvious move
that fucking dumb as shit.
The claim that you made, which is that
within this
whenever practical and possible, we should limit animal suffering, was obviously false, because I gave you a case in which we're not limiting animal suffering, and it's both practical and possible to limit it. So I just got you to contradict yourself. That was all I was doing there.
It's not a contradiction at all within the actual statement of veganism, dude.
Wait, the contradiction is, right? The contradiction is we shouldn't exploit animals given it's practically possible, right? And then you held the view that there's actually cases in which you can exploit animals given it's both practical and possible to not exploit them, right? So that's just going to be the contradiction.
No.
Because you signed off on the view that I could pinch the fish.
I gave your stupid hypothetical of like infinite happiness, right? Because it would be an unpracticable option to avoid infinite happiness for one sentient being. I might even grant that for like a human or something.
How is that impractical?
This is just like an absurd conclusion to use
How is
this
that
as
impractical?
justification. This is the point. You're using a definitional component of infinite happiness to make a point about your personal taste pleasure. Is it justified, for example, for me to like squash a bunch of fish because it feels good on my foot?
I mean, I don't hold the view that fish have too much moral consideration.
Okay, so is it morally permissible for me to fuck fish because it feels good on my dick, dude?
Are you serious? You think that's analogous? You low tier?
Dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a fucking counter reductio right now. You're gonna get reducted
dude,
to fucking oblivion, right?
Dude, there's 5 senses. Okay, so let's say it doesn't have like any
so
kind of
bad
like
faith, by the way.
degradation societally or towards
Wait,
anyone
host,
else
do you
around
acknowledge
it.
that that's a bad faith hypothetical, first of all?
Dude, it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so let's just use anything else. It feels
Is it okay
good
to
my
have sex with a
hearing.
cardboard cutout of a child,
Dude,
given the fact
holy
that the
shit.
cardboard cutout
Okay.
doesn't have any moral value?
Dude,
Because
okay,
clearly the
fine.
moral
Dude,
value is playing the explanatory.
Just stop. Okay, sure, it's a bad example. Whatever the fuck, I don't care. So let's move on to hearing or smell.
Right, faith.
So if I want to smash a bunch of fish because it smells good or the hearing pleasure I obtain from that, is that also permissible?
Non-psychopathic reasons, I assume.
What?
It's like for like non-psychopathic reasons that like won't hurt your character in any way.
Yeah, I just like it. It's just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, obviously there's nothing wrong with that. What?
Dude, I'm just fucking painfully ignorant people.
Come back next time, Leo.
Like I just I can't fucking talk to people who are just gonna like sit there and be like, yeah, it's fun for me to like squash fish with my feet. I get like hearing pleasure out of it. Fuck off.
Adam, can I get your age?
18.
Okay, cool. Did you want to answer the background?
Well, I'd say it doesn't really require a reason. So, like, what's the argument? Like, why would there have to be an argument? Like, what's the argument for eating potatoes? What's the argument for, you know?
So can you just do whatever you want to non-human animals?
Well, presumably there's like some sort of inconsistency where you form a normative evaluation against other contexts of exploiting animals, but you don't form a normative evaluation in this context, right? So for example, do you take it to be more morally permissible to light cats on fire for no good reason, just like for your entertainment or something, I guess?
Well, I don't really see like the relevance of that. I know there are some moral positions that would say like, yeah, like that, sure, that it'd be
Well,
like
I'm
more
asking
like
your position.
For me, like I wouldn't see that as morally permissible because my religion doesn't allow for it. And I agree, it's also really counterintuitive, and like almost no one would say that, but those positions exist.
Yeah, so I mean, the question then is like, what's the difference between these situations such that it's impermissible to harm the cats, but it's permissible to harm the other animals for like taste pleasure or something like that?
So from my position, the symmetry breaker would be God allowing one thing and not allowing the other. But I could argue from like an atheistic worldview, and I'd just say there is no real symmetry breaker, and both are allowed. And I don't see a problem with either, to be honest.
You don't think there's a problem with lighting cats on fire for entertainment?
Yeah, so it's gonna depend from like what meta-ethical worldview we go about
Well,
that question.
let's just take your real meta-ethical worldview.
Yeah, like according to me, as I said, it would be wrong. But the symmetry breaker, like, it's not gonna be like a fun discussion because I'm not gonna do that, and I'm gonna take the thing as wrong because God said it's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, do you have an argument for God?
Well, yeah, like we can discuss the existence of God, like we can do that.
Yeah,
But
because I mean, that's what your argument for the asymmetry of the two cases hinges upon, right? So, I mean, if you just want to point to another claim that justifies the asymmetry, well, then I would just ask for the justification of the new claim.
okay. Well, I'd say like God is provable via contradiction of the contrast. So any worldview where God doesn't exist would lead to some form of inconsistency or contradiction. And I think the easiest way to go about like debating this or discussing this is just going through all of the options of which things begin to originate, and yeah, and then we can like go from there.
Okay, so just give the argument.
Yeah, so we can observe things that start to originate, such as plants, humans, even if you want to talk about like cars or whatever. You wouldn't say that you, as the person you are, existed like 100 years ago. So you started to originate. Because you started to originate, you were caused by something. You were originated. And I would make an argument against like an infinite regress and against like a first start that is contingent in itself. And so I see the only other option is a necessary existence.
Okay, I mean, I'm curious how you rule out the alternative explanations, but I think it's even compatible with a necessary existence that you reach a not God conclusion.
Well, God is classically defined to be the necessary existence, but like
I mean, if you just like make that move, I mean, it's just like trivial, but I mean, I think that kind of move is really like scummy because I mean, I could just define a necessary existence to be the universe, right? And then I reach the not God conclusion.
Oh yeah, we can talk about why the universe is impossible to be like the necessary existence. So, like, what do you define the universe to be?
Yeah, necessary existence.
But that's not an exhaustive definition. Like, is the universe the sum of all things that exist? Do you see it as like the box containing all of the existing things? Is it in itself an existing thing, or is it a concept? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's just a concept that's supposed to reflect the set of all things that exist.
Exactly. So then, by definition, it cannot be necessary because it's not even a real thing. And like we know
I don't
model
understand how
logic.
you're establishing that.
So that's like saying, I don't know, like this pink unicorn in my head. It's necessary, but it cannot even be necessary because it's inside of my head.
When we're referring to the universe, you know, we're invoking a concept, but the concept that we're picking out is the necessary thing.
Oh,
right? Do you understand that distinction?
So you're just saying that the universe itself is a concept, but what the universe is picking out, so like the set of all existing things, that's going to be the real thing.
When we say the words the universe, we're invoking a concept, right? But the concept we're invoking is supposed to be encapsulating all the things that exist, right?
So everything is necessary.
Well, I mean, I'm not even sympathetic to this kind of a view, in all honesty, but I'm trying to understand how you rule out this alternative explanation.
Yeah. So if everything is, that's like one of the responses I heard, like everything is necessary. So then I think that the conclusion you reach becomes self-refuting because I think under determinism, like you can't even have like justified true beliefs.
Okay, so you're saying that determinism is entailed from all things being necessary?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If every single physical fact is necessary, and obviously discussing under like a physical
Can you demonstrate that? What's your argument for everything's necessary?
No, I don't believe that, but like we're just going across like different possibilities.
We're asking about your beliefs.
Wait.
Well, Rowdy, I'm giving him like an alternative explanation that could fit the datum, right?
Okay.
And so he's saying, well, we can rule this out given that hypothesis commits you to saying that determinism is true. I want to understand that a little bit better, if that's okay, Adam.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so like determinism, all determinism is saying is that because of the set preconditions and like determinism is basically saying because every fact is predetermined, meaning it's necessary. Like there is no free agency or like ability to choose anything. So I
Well,
believe
I
that's
don't.
what you
Yeah,
follow
I don't
from.
take that view of determinism either.
Are you like a compatibilist?
Well, I mean, I think compatibilism is coherent, but even on like a fully deterministic view, I don't think it's incompatible with choices being made. So I don't know why you specified that.
Okay, so like what do you define a choice to be?
Just like having like a set of options to choose from and then taking one option. But that's also obviously compatible with determinism, so I don't know why that's picking out like a
Yeah,
definition of
yeah,
exclusive to it.
exactly. No, I agree. Like if that's like your definition of choice or, and like whatever, then sure, like there can be like multiple possible options, but like it's going to be like all of those options are going to be redundant since you don't really have any agency over which one you're going to pick.
I don't see how it would be like redundant. What do you mean by redundant there?
Yeah, so it's like it's like let's say I have like there are three doors in front of me, and like I'm being told like under one of these doors there is paradise, and under the other two there is the hellfire, and like in reality like it doesn't matter which one I pick, I'll come to paradise either way. The choice I'm being presented of going to paradise or hell is redundant because in reality it doesn't matter which one I'm going to pick. I'm going to go to paradise either way. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay. I understand that that could be a form of redundancy. I don't see how that's analogous to choices you make under determinism.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the entire premise of determinism is that you yourself don't make these choices as a result of you discerning between possibilities. It's just like a necessary follow-up from previous events.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I still don't understand how it'd be redundant because it could be true that some options are more beneficial to you, right, and other options are not as beneficial to you. And so, like, and similarly, if you were to, use the analogy that you gave, if you were to open one door and there was hellfire or paradise, right, one of those would actually be more beneficial to you, even if it was determined which door you would open.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So then, but it's still redundant because the choice itself doesn't influence anything on the predetermined outcome. Like that's the point of the analogy.
The choice itself doesn't influence anything on the predetermined outcome. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it does.
just
I mean,
if I may interject
even
here.
if you don't have like, yeah, just one second, Rowdy. Even if you don't have like free will in the relevant sense for which it's used in this context, I think it is going to influence the outcome, right? Because if it's causally connected, that if you choose like a door that opens to paradise over a door that opens to hellscape or something like that, well then, I mean, it's going to be more beneficial to you causally to open the door that opens to paradise. So it's not redundant.
I mean, the action of choosing that door, it's not gonna satisfy anything in reality. It's just
What do you mean by
it's
that?
like it's not gonna change anything on the outcome in reality. Like that's the entire point. And the same thing
I don't
with
understand. Well, I'm trying to understand that a little bit better because, I mean, the choice you make, even if it's not something that you're choosing via means of like libertarian free will or something like that, then it still influences the reality, right?
Yeah, but that's not really the point, though, right?
But
Oh,
the
well, maybe
choice,
I'm misunderstanding the
the
point
choice
because
would
I
be
thought that was the point.
an illusion there, though. The choice wouldn't be actually exerting free will.
Yeah,
So if you believe
I
in
agree.
hard biological determinism, then everything is predetermined. And the reason you experience making choices is because you're living in real time. And those things that you are choosing are having like a real time consideration, even though you're just observing the choices being made.
I agree, yeah. Yeah, like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's still compatible with the choice, whatever it may be, influencing the reality of the outcome.
No, the choice would just be an illusion there.
Even if it is
You're
just an
making a
illusion, it
choice.
still influences the
You-
outcome.
Like, for instance, if I were to decide tomorrow whether I'm going to have chocolate or vanilla ice cream for supper,
It's still causally connected that you're going to experience the flavor of chocolate if you choose chocolate.
Yeah, that's not the argument. That has nothing to do with
but
free will or
like
choice.
that's the outcome of the choice you make, but it's not really saying much about the free
Well, then,
will behind the choice.
The whole point is, like, if you experience more pleasure from something like chocolate, well, it's not redundant that you didn't have free will when you chose chocolate, right? It's more beneficial to you.
But what happens if you decide to try something different? What happens if you have the psychological?
Well, that's not. Well, given determinism, that's not possible, right?
Oh, sure it is. I can just say I wanna, fuck fate. I don't want to choose the chocolate. I want to choose something else just to throw a wrench in the works. Or I can try something different that I have no knowledge of whatsoever. So biological free will would just say that those psychological mechanisms which cause you to choose whichever have just been predetermined by your experiences.
Adam, what do you think about that one?
Well, to be honest, like, I don't like the entire free will determinism debate too much, because at the end of the day, like, most theists or like most people who believe in free will would just say that there is like this faculty within the human nature of free will. Like, I don't think anyone will really claim it's biological, that you can show like, oh,
Right.
in this part of the brain we can see that humans have free will or something. It's more metaphysical, I think.
Yeah, that you can't demonstrate neurological free will. Like, there's no mechanism within the brain that we know of yet that would give space for free will.
Can someone fill me in? How did we end up here from like the topic on screen?
Well, because his argument for being against veganism hinges upon God. His argument for God hinges upon ruling out alternatives that are connected to committing to free will, which is an absurd position. So now we're discussing, determinism, which, yeah. So we're going down the list of.
It's like this belief that he's like determined in life to not be vegan.
No. He's ruling out one of the alternative explanations for why God doesn't exist.
That's actually like a good troll position. Like, I believe that I'm predetermined to not be vegan.
Yeah, that sounds absurd as hell, though.
I'm gonna try that next time. No, like we could go like another round in terms of like nutrition and stuff, but I don't think that's really what this life is about,
Wait,
right? I don't.
I just wanted to get clear because, like, I mean, I think Rowdy is saying that, like, I think Rowdy's talking about something like biological determinism, but I think that's like sort of separate from what me and you were talking about, Adam, which is like causal determinism, like more broadly. Is that right? Am I misunderstanding something?
No, I agree, but like I do think what Keith said is like it's like a good point. Like like maybe we could go back a couple of steps, because like I think obviously I think like you can prove God with logic and stuff, but I think it's not necessary exactly for this conversation.
Okay, what's the logic behind believing in God?
The logic behind believing in God?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or the logic for God.
there are a lot of logical things for believing in God, but I think you mean
What would
to
one of
ask me like
those?
why
What would
God
one of those?
exists.
Yeah.
Like
What's your
for an
case? What's
example,
your case for God?
I could believe in God because it reduces anxiety and it makes me feel good. For an example, that'd be like a
Sure. Yeah.
perfectly good reason to believe in God.
Yeah, it's absolutely true that there are certain delusions which improve our emotional states.
Yeah, I agree. So like that'd be a good reason for an
But it
example, or
doesn't mean that
maybe
God is real
it's
or true. It just means
yeah.
that you
That's why
experience this delusion.
that's why I said that I think you asked the wrong question, because there are a lot of reasons why I believe in God and like why I think it's
Okay.
good to believe in God, but
We're asking
that's
you, what's your case for God? You said that you believe in, being
Well,
a carnivore.
I thought that was like the route we were going down, Rowdy. Like, I thought he wanted to go to a different point, like back to veganism,
Yeah, that's
but
fine. Whatever.
because I
You're the
mean, the whole
boss, man.
point of going down the God explanation route was that he was trying to rule out alternative hypotheses
Well, yeah. I mean,
for the universe coming to existence or something like
Did
that.
he say that he believed in being a carnivore or an omnivore because God said so? Like, wasn't that sort of the thing he was going with?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm just asking for his case for God. And no, you're on. I'm just trying to get us back onto the track. But you're good. You're the boss. I'm just.
No, you're good. I'm just trying to make sure I'm following properly because I thought that's kind of like where we were at. We were like in the weeds, of his argument for God, and then we kind of zoomed back out to more generally about like what the argument for God is. I guess I'm not sure.
I think we lost him.
Yeah. Anyways, what do you think, Rowdy?
So yeah, I just wanted to say that like I'm a physicalist, right? So I don't believe in anything spiritual. Just because I don't think there's evidence for it. It's not the experience I'm having. It's not what the science points toward. I mean, there's stuff we don't know, but I don't think there's anything, spiritual going on. So when it comes to making choices and whether they're determined or not, I'm just talking about the nature of the universe, like the physics, chemistry, and biology that's going on. And specifically when it comes to our brain, I'm just talking about the neurological mechanism and the fact that, there doesn't seem to be at this point any room in the biology of the brain to have free will. I mean, we may yet discover something, but I mean, some people, would posit, some kind of quantum biology in the microtubules or something like that, but that's just speculation at this point. So what do I think? I don't know. Like, to be honest with you, there are people who are smarter than me who disagree on, when it comes to the God thing. But when it comes to eating animals, I think ultimately it's better not to. Just because my metric for morality is promoting well-being or promoting well-being, and then on the other side of the spectrum is unnecessary harm. And that's just based on a preference. Like, I don't ground it. I just say that I have experiences. I'm taught things. I have experiences. I reason them out, and then I choose a preference. And this, all kinds of people give all kinds of answers about what their morality is based on. But I think really, truthfully, that's what human beings do. Like, we're taught things. We have some genetic proclivities, but we're having experiences, and based on our observations and our assessment of those experiences, then we choose our morality, whether we're indoctrinated with it or which wouldn't be so much a choice. And if you're sort of a free thinker, you can separate yourself a bit and choose what you prefer. And I prefer for people to be healthy and life to be healthy. And I think that even in animals, like my value for life isn't limited to my assessment of its intelligence. So if somebody's having if some, life form is having a sentient experience and it's feeling pain or whatever, that's something I think that is bad. And so I think largely, largely, I don't think it's good to eat animals. I still do, like I've cut way down on my beef and pork consumption. Like I almost never eat beef or pork now, and I'm working on it. That's what I'll say. I'm not perfect. It's a battle for me, but I'm heading that way, I hope.
Well, that's good. I mean, it doesn't seem like we agree on the ethics surrounding, or I'm sorry, it doesn't sound like we disagree on the ethics
Right.
surrounding veganism.
Yeah.
So I'll try to get someone who disagrees up here, but
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on.
you can stay up here if you want, though.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to steal Keith's job. Keith's the man, usually.
Hello.
Yeah, Keith will be unemployed now that you're here, Rowdy. So this is not looking good for Keith.
No, I defer to Keith's expertise.
Oh, well, Keith disconnected, so I guess you're the new Keith. Kat, could I get your age?
Yeah, of course. I am 21 years old, sir.
Okay, cool. Yeah, did you want to answer the background? This is probably going to be my last conversation of the night, by the way, because I'm probably going to go to bed after this.
I don't even blame you, man. I should have been in bed a long time ago. What's the argument for eating animals? Now, are we discussing veganism, or are we discussing that it is okay to eat animals?
I mean, we're just discussing what the argument for eating animals is.
Well, I believe that it is definitely a part of the food chain.
What do you mean by the food chain?
So I believe that, lions eat zebras, humans eat, well, cows, pigs, chickens.
Okay, but what do you mean by the food chain?
Like, it's just, this argument's not that great. But, bear with me. I think that it's just, it's a part of nature. Animals kill animals, and technically humans are animals, right? So we're killing those animals for food. Do I necessarily agree with it? Not necessarily, but like, if the animal's dead, the animal's dead.
Okay. Well, I mean, based on my understanding of the food chain, which is just like a transfer of energy from one organism to another, whether that be like a plant or an animal or bacteria or whatever it may be. I think that's still compatible with like a vegan conclusion. Like I could grant, the food chain exists. I don't know what sort of normative implications that would hold, but regardless, that still is compatible with reaching like a vegan normative conclusion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does, man.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of curious, like what the argument for eating animals would be.
The argument is that you get certain nutrients. You get a lot more protein with meat and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you just get more of that than just going completely vegan.
Okay, well, what's the argument for something like that?
What do you mean would be the argument for that?
Yeah, so you want to say that you get like more nutrients or more protein.
Right, you get the right amount. It's on the what is the you know what I'm talking about? I think it's like the nutrition plate or whatever it's called, right? And so it has dairy, it has meat, it has
the food pyramid.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I mean, from my understanding, I think you can get the right amount, more protein in certain cases from a plant-based diet, more nutrients from a plant-based diet. So, I mean, I would just sort of reject that. But even if that were true, like, we could grant that even
What would
and still say that, like, if you can still get like an adequate amount of nutrients and protein from a plant-based diet, well, what's going to be the normative justification for consuming animals when you don't need to?
well, like you said, man, that it might be true that you get that amount of nutrients or anything, but you think that you could get the same amount from a vegan diet, correct? What would be your claim to back that up?
Yeah, yeah. So there's like sources like the American and British Dietetics Association say you can survive and thrive on a well-planned plant-based diet, as well as the Oxford cohort study that observed, a group of basically a cohort of individuals who went through um, eating a plant-based diet for a period of time and didn't see any, deficiencies or concerns when they were on that diet. So, I mean, doesn't seem like there's anything to worry about.
No. Um, my question is, right, are you just saying that humans should be on a plant-based diet, or do you think that animals should be on a plant-based diet?
Well, I think humans are animals, but if those specific humans have values in accordance with not harming animals when it's not necessary, well, then I think they should be on a plant-based diet.
Okay. So if what do you have to say about the people that take eggs or milk from like cows? Do you think that's harming them? Do you think that it is slowly killing them, or do you think that
Oh, sorry, I thought you were still gonna continue speaking. I didn't know you finished your sentence. So like when it comes to like the mass production of these things, yes, it's very much harming these animals, like in mass production of milk, dairy, any dairy product, eggs. It's very much harming these animals because, like, for example, like the egg industry, what they do is uh, they basically macerate billions of male chicks, you know, every day just for the purpose of, well, the fact that they don't serve any utility when it comes to producing more and more eggs, right? So, as a consequence, uh, more and more female chickens, female hens, or whatever, are bred into existence for the purpose of being put in confined spaces their entire lives for the sole purpose of producing more and more eggs for the consumer, right? So that's just one example. I mean, there's a lot more examples. I can go into like the dairy industry as well if you want to hear about that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more graphic, in all
yeah, no,
honesty.
go ahead, man. Like, if you're willing to do that, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So, like for the dairy industry, basically what they do is they take away, so they impregnate the female cow um, by means of artificial insemination. So they're sticking uh, one hand up the anus uh, in order to position the cervix such that when they inject the bull's semen, which they jacked off from the bull, earlier, um, with, their hands or their machine, whatever it may be, extracted the semen, then, they inject it into the cow's vagina for the purpose of creating the baby cow, right? And that's going to start also the what's it called? The uh, the process that by which they feed milk to their babies, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing that they're aiming for when they're doing those actions, right? And so what they do instead of feeding the baby cow is they take the baby cow away from its mother, and then they end up turning, in most cases, the baby cow into veal. So they just slaughter the child basically, and then they extract the milk that would have been produced for that baby cow for the purpose of serving it to the consumer.
Okay. What inspired you to be a vegan?
Yeah, I mean, mainly just like hearing about that kind of stuff and being like, well, I don't really want to participate in it. And there's stuff like oat milk, almond milk, soy milk. There's like tons of alternatives basically. And I was
Very
just
much
like,
so,
yeah,
yeah.
all that stuff that I just like learned about. I was just like, yeah, I don't really find that to be morally good in any way. And if there's alternatives, I don't really see a good reason to actually participate in that and like fund it.
Yeah. And do you think that I see a lot of this with vegans here is that they very much like to shove it in people's faces that like animals are dying and stuff like that, and they do it in extreme measures. Do you necessarily partake into that kind of that territory? Like, do you think that's a right way of pushing people to be vegan?
Well, I mean, I don't really take it to be that controversial, but I mean, like my view on doing stuff like that is like I don't really see what the issue with that is, because I mean, they're just showing the reality of what's happening to these animals, like what people are paying for to happen to these animals. And they're just being truthful. They're just being honest, right? Like I don't see what the problem with that is. Like, for example, if somebody were to like know about the fact that like I don't know, like think back to like when we were in the transatlantic slave trade and we were like producing like a whole bunch of cotton by means of like putting slaves through slave labor, and there was like a slavery abolitionist person um who just wanted to like show actually what's happening to these people who are being enslaved for the purpose of producing cotton when we had like alternatives, right? Seems like our intuitions favor the idea that, well, there's probably nothing wrong with that person just being honest and showing exactly what's happening to the individual who's being exploited. It might be like kind of hard for the person who's paying for that cotton to swallow that sort of a fact, but I mean, regardless, I mean, it's just something they're going to have to accept, given that it's something they're paying for. I mean, I don't
Right.
like. I mean, all they're doing basically when they say like something like, "Oh, stop shoving it in my face," is like they're saying like, "Oh, I'm closing my eyes. I don't want to look at the thing that I'm paying for to happen. I just want to have the outcome from whatever it produces." But I mean, it's like, okay, I mean, do you want to take the blindfold off and like look at reality, or I mean, are you just going to complain about somebody taking off your blindfold? I mean, it
Right.
just seems
But
kind
do
of
you
silly
think
to me.
that would be like that would steer away people from veganism?
I mean, I'm not really sure, in all honesty. Like, it
At
seems
least some people. Like I feel like that would steer them away.
I'm really not sure because, like, think about it like this: like, those people, if they had never heard about somebody like showing them exactly what happens to animals, um, they also probably wouldn't have ever considered veganism. So I don't know if it's steering them away necessarily, but
Because
I,
like the truth
you know what I
hurts.
mean?
Don't get me
Because
wrong. For some people, definitely the truth hurts, and I feel like that pushing people into that, yes, it is the very much the truth, but I I think that wouldn't be the greatest approach to get someone to be vegan.
Well, think about it like this: if they had never heard any information about what's happening to the animals, right? They also would never be going vegan, right? So it's not really the case from what I'm understanding. Like, I don't really think it's the case that their actions are steering people away from veganism, because it's also true that if they had never done anything, then that person would still be similarly steered away from veganism, just naturally, basically. So I don't know if that in particular what's steering them away from veganism. I think um, it's more so a lack of like connecting their own values with the actions that they partake in, or something like that.
Right.
And maybe that methodology, I mean, maybe it's not the best way of making that connection for that person. I mean, I think it's pretty good, honestly. I think it's just hard for people to reconcile, because I think it's actually really good, because then you get to see exactly what's happening. Oh, people are like, wow, this is really bad, but also I don't want to watch it. But they
Right.
kind of just like close their eyes even more to the idea that this is what I'm paying for.
Right.
But I mean, it's just kind of weird to me, because at the same time, when they say, I'm just going to close my eyes and turn my brain off, they are sort of like simultaneously acknowledging that, okay, this is the thing that I'm paying for, and this is what I need to like shut my eyes off to. So I don't know. I think it's better than nothing, because
It is better
nothing
than
just means,
nothing, but I think
yeah.
that it is, I don't think it's I would I if I wouldn't say if I was necessarily a vegan, which I'm like kind of in a way. I don't purchase meat like crazy. But anyways, I would if I was necessarily a vegan, and I wouldn't go show my buddy. I'd be like, "Hey, this is why you should be vegan," and then I show him a video of like a pig getting slaughtered. Like, I feel like that would be I feel like that would turn him down from being that way, because yeah, it is necessarily like, yeah, I don't want to see it, because it's bad. But it's the same way with like, you know, like it's like me going, "Hey, man, don't purchase a gun. This is what happens when people have guns," and then I show him like someone getting shot. It's not gonna. It's just not. Yeah, like with that. Yes, it is very. You know what you see what I'm saying here?
I think it is a little bit different, but I do see what you're saying. Like, okay,
Okay.
so for example, like somebody, okay, like I've shown, people that I know, like what's happening to animals, and they get like really defensive about that. But I mean, I think it's sort of just like a misinterpretation of like my intentions, because I think they're thinking that like I'm trying to make them feel bad or something like that. But
Some
I'm just
people
trying
can,
to
yeah, can have that image.
right, yeah, and I'm just trying to show them is like, hey, like I think you have values that are in accordance with not exploiting animals when you don't need to. And you're sort of doing that. So I feel like it would be important to you to like realize that you're doing something that you presumably don't want to do. And like as someone who like I care about, like someone who cares about someone else, it's like important to like say something like that.
Yeah,
Even
no,
if it's
I
like kind of
get
hard to
that.
say, you know?
A little bit, yeah. With your beliefs, yes, it is very difficult to get someone not to do such, like, because that's what they do. People have been eating people have been eating meat for decades, years. So
Well,
yeah,
even in
it's
other
a
contexts, like
change.
like for example, like if somebody was like stealing from, I don't know, someone. Thank you right here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Um so if someone was stealing from somebody and they had like really strong values against stealing from somebody, and I was really good friends with that person, I would kind of feel inclined to let them know that, like, hey, because you have like such strong values against stealing from like innocent people, but you keep doing it and maybe you don't really realize it. I just thought it might like be like important for me as a friend to like bring it to your attention, just because it seems like if you wanted to be in accordance with that value, you might actually change that behavior in some way. Now, I'm not saying you should go change that behavior. It's just something that I think you would do given the values that you tell me, which is that
Right.
I don't really like stealing. I really, oppose it very, very strongly or something like that. So, as someone who's like a friend of that person, or as someone who cares about like humanity being in accordance with like general values that they have, I think it's like important to like point that out to people, basically.
Right. Now, this is what I just thought. I just thought about this in my head, and I'm just kind of like thinking, um, if the meat industry disappeared, right? Say like that disappeared, do you think that we would have so many animals that it'd be a problem that we would have to go back to killing them to get their meat and stuff like that? Because then at that point,
No.
you might as well, if you're killing them because there's too many.
No, because like we're like breeding them at such like a high rate that it's like unreasonable. Like the reason that there's like overpopulation of certain animals in the wild and like in domestic.
I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna pause you real quick. For the person that is definitely is in the chat right now, this is hypothetically. I'm not talking about. But sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so the reason that they're overpopulated in the wild and in domesticated contexts is because we're breeding them at such high rates, right? So if we just removed that action from being a practice that we hold to, well, then they just wouldn't be breeding at such high rates.
Right, but like, don't you think over years it would become an issue?
I mean, I don't really see like that being an issue. Like, given the sort of like research that I've looked into, it doesn't seem like that's really a worry. If that was a worry, though, could take that into consideration, and I would probably say like if there's like non-lethal means of like controlling the population or something like that, I'd probably opt for those over just like straight up slaughtering them.
Right. I think
Maybe
that
there's
I feel like there is definitely better ways with handling with the meat industry. I don't agree with like keeping chickens in cages and then like that's their whole life or whatever. I don't agree with like cows like just being like forced into exhaustion and all that stuff. No, I'd rather have them like live a life or something like that, like live a whole life, and then you could probably eat them. I feel like that would be more justified than just straight up like having their lives be nothing but for food. But that's just me. Do I disagree with veganism? Not necessarily. I think it's a great thing. I'm glad that you have this belief. This is amazing, but I think for some people it is definitely it's give or take.
Yeah, I mean, it's not expected that I'll just like convert every person I talk to or anything like that. I mean, I'm just trying to like point out like something that I think most people agree about, and hopefully make them think about it a little bit more. And that's basically it.
Yeah, no, man. It's been a great conversation. I did definitely go. I went vegan for like a little while. I tried it, but I had like medical issues, and so then I had to go back to that because I just wasn't getting the amount of fiber and all the other stuff that I got from meat. So for those people, I feel like, I don't know, it's justified. But do I think killing animals is great? No. But eating them, I feel like it has been around for centuries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a choice. It's definitely a choice. And for you, you're picking the better choice. I wouldn't say my choice is the greatest, but it is what it is, man. But
Well, you should pick the better choice. You should pick the choice
yeah,
that's, or at least in more in
and
alignment
technically,
with
I already kind
your
of,
values.
I kind of am doing the better choice. I haven't really mean it all, but yeah, this has been a good conversation, man. And get some sleep, and you take care, man.
Thanks, man. You can come back another time if you want. But
Yeah,
yeah,
of
I'm
course.
gonna head off. So have a good night.
For sure, you too, man.
All right, good night, chat. Thank you guys for being here and supporting me.